With
I
that
just
being
shared it
said,
on. I just shared it on mine too.
okay, and Brother Torian Rain Reloaded. So, welcome to everybody that is in the respective chats on these channels. Shout out to everybody tuning in right now. I am Beatzilla PDX official, and to right next to me is Brother Kid Gravity Beyond. Next to him is Brother Sage, and then of course, right below is Brother Torian Rain Reloaded. And you also have our good brother that has ran for Congress and will shall be running again, Greg Marcel Dixon. Yes, indeed. So welcome, brothers. And we also have a couple interviews that I had to do earlier because of time. So I also had a chance to talk to Sister Just Eve, who is one of the creators of New Black Media Appreciation Month. So we'll be playing that a little later in this broadcast, as our good brother Dwan B. So look forward to seeing those later on in this broadcast. But first, brothers, I want to ask y'all, and I guess I'll start with Kid Gravity and go around work, clockwise, I guess. So, brother, and brothers, I want to know, with the impact of New Black Media, say since I guess the summer of George Floyd back in 2020. Um, how have you seen the world shift or change uh, with its emergence? And like how was the response been worldwide to the voices of New Black Media?
We're known now, which is a very good thing. I mean, you have political pundits mentioning people that are streaming in this sector. I mean, usually it's not for a positive reason. They're trying to stymie what they do, but their names are out there. So that's good. Brother Torian's got people saying his sayings off of YouTube. We've made a lot of impact in 2 years. When, even with all this against us, the algorithm don't like us. They want to shadow ban our content, even with this crap that they got going on, trying to prop up a certain white girl. We're still getting the message out. The lexicon is changing. We got politicians talking about reparations when they've been avoiding it for 35 years. So we've done our job. Now we just got to finish bringing the ball across the goal line.
I
And
agree.
I can say that, first of all, the old quote unquote mainstream media is really dying a much deserved, but still long, painful death. Their ratings are cratering. More and more people are getting their news from social media, and that has worked to the New Black Media's favor. I can tell you, I mean, when I first ran, I would not have gotten the attention I've gotten if not for the New Black Media in large part. Because look at some of the confrontations, and they became confrontations. I didn't go there for it to become a confrontation. I went there for it just to become an engagement. And engagement can go either way, but it became confrontations. I'm ready to go there, obviously. But look at some of the confrontations I've had with some of these politicians that went viral, like Raphael Warnock, and Carrie Ann Williamson. Like those things should have been covered by the mainstream media, either national or local. These are office holders. Raphael Warnock is a U.S. senator. Carrie Ann Williamson is a presidential candidate. And I confronted both of them, and both of them rely on black voters in the black vote. Raphael Warnock only has his seat because of black voters. Carrie Ann Williamson, if she becomes president, she's going to need to get black votes because she's running as a Democrat. So you would think that the mainstream media would have covered those interactions I've had with them and with Clyburn. I called him out on his failure and went through with data. I wasn't going there off emotion. I cited data and facts, not one word mention of it, but the New Black Media covered it. And that helps to educate our people because you see, a lot of Black Americans right now are politically homeless. They're tired of the Democrats. Here in South Carolina, one of the blackest states in America, and definitely has one of the blackest Democratic parties in America, 70% black. Voter turnout among black Americans in South Carolina has been the lowest in a generation. And I didn't understand what they meant by a generation. I thought they meant like, you mean Generation X, millennials, Generation Z. No, when they say generation, they're talking about at least a good 30 to 40 years. That's how low black voter turnout was. A lot of people are not participating or not just giving their votes to the Democrats. Okay. But I am a fan. Yes, no tangibles, no vote, but we can't start there. If there's no tangibles, no vote, then we need to get the candidates or become the candidates who are going to give us the tangibles. And then we need to organize so they can get the votes. So our people are like, okay, where do I go? What do we do? And they're finding the new black media. So I'm glad to see the rapid expansion and reach of the new black media that's giving access to our voices. I'm going to end with this right here. No one needs to discount the new black media either. There's a lot of these fringe, I hate calling them far right because the far left ain't our friends either. And there's a lot of them too who are just as violently anti-black. But there's a lot of these, these anti-black white supremacist groups. A lot of them have little shows and radio stations, and they tune in to hear the people speaking their language. We as black Americans need to tune in to hear the people speaking our language and not dismiss it because it may not be on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. A lot of those channels are falling off anyway.
Very true, brother. And looking at CNN, CNN and Fox News, that is telling, very telling when they're getting the shakeups like they're having right now. Brother Torian, go ahead, brother, and then we'll back up to Brother Sage.
Yeah, I would pretty much say that in just the last couple of years, we've definitely made an impact. We definitely have had our voices amplified. I mean, today I saw the word reparations trending on Twitter. A couple years ago, that wasn't even a possibility. Now I see reparations trend almost every week now. So it's not like they can say that, oh, we don't see it or it doesn't exist. It's definitely there. Whether you want to care about it or not, and whether you take it seriously or not, it's still there. So people are seeing it. People are well aware of the noise that we are making. And it's amazing how much strides we've had made in such a short amount of time that unfortunately what the old black media should have done years ago. And imagine what if they were on the type of time we on right now years ago, where we would have been right now. But I mean, wherever they drop the ball is where we'll pick it up and we'll just keep on going and we'll go even faster and further than they did. I mean, that's just on them. And last year I did like a recap of my of the successful content that I put on my channel. Do you know that my most watched live stream last year was my interview that I did with Marcel? Nice. That was my most watched live stream of 2022. And that's saying a lot because he was a candidate. And I talked about a lot of things, and that one right there was one of my most watched videos. So that's definitely saying a lot, because you don't have a lot of what I call politicians that will want to talk to someone like us, because we're not on a CNN, we're not on an MSNBC, we're not part of these big global media conglomerates. We're just seen as the little people, and then because on top of that we're black, we're not seen or taken as seriously. So I definitely was glad that Marcel was able to talk to all of us, because I know he's talked to Kid Gravity, he's talked to Beatzilla, he's talked to Afro, he's talked to Black Alpha, he's talked to all of us. He chose not to go to those big media places and outlets, and he probably easily could have, but Jay probably would have cut his mic. Let's be honest, that mic probably would have got cut as soon as he uttered one word. But we let him come over here and speak his mind and say, because he was speaking to us, he was speaking to the people, he was saying what needed to be said, and not just doing it for these these big other outlets, which could have been easier for him to do. But the new black media definitely has had a major impact on people more than and like Kid Gravity was saying, we even hear people in some other bigger outlets starting to say some of our phrases, and when you read, when I'm reading those articles, I'm sitting there saying to myself, that sounds like something Professor Black True said, or that sounds like something Jason Black said, sound like something I said, so on and so forth. So they are definitely watching us. our audience definitely has expanded, whether they want to, believe it or not. And it's just going to continue to grow on from here. And it's going to continue to go up and up and up, no matter how they may feel about it. So that's pretty much where I'm at right there.
Right on. I have to absolutely agree, my brother. Brother Sage, it's on you.
Yes, sir. So, what is the new black media meant to me? Besides just the education that they give to their people on a daily basis, the research that they do, and the analysis of, just diving deep in everything that they portray to their people, what they represent. What I would say is that the new black media in itself represents strength. This is something that we didn't have as a people. I would say about maybe 15 years ago. It wasn't really popular to like stand out and scream reparations or scream injustice. It wasn't really popular to do so at the time. Now it seems like a trendy topic, and I think they ushered in that era. They made it possible for a guy like Marcel to come up so quickly. From a teacher. This guy's a teacher in a, I know he likes to call it, a little country, countryside of South Carolina, and he's running for big office. Torian Rain covers things that's not well, let me not say it's not that, how can I put, like, so exciting, because white media definitely doesn't cover it. You'll learn stuff about crimes that you haven't even heard of. I don't want to speak on specific things, but I know my brother, well, let me bring this up. My brother Torian did a piece on, I want to call this dude, a suspected white supremacist killed one of our, Navy men, recently. He hit him in the back of the head. My brother Torian does, things like that. Kid Kravitz just had like a very important, I would say, debate with, a gentleman that's irrelevant. And, again, to yourself, Brother Beats, Black Alpha, Brother Afro, all you guys bring something to the table that's much needed. And again, I can't thank you guys enough, for taking your time and doing that. What I would say, the new black media, the most I got from them, again, it's just like courage, to be more like courageous. Don't be quiet. They'll teach you to, live on your feet instead of on your knees. And when you're doing that, be proud of doing that. Be proud of who you are. Again, I'm a kid from New York. When I was in high school, it wasn't popular to be American. It wasn't popular to be, you had to be, some type of Caribbean. It was kind of corny to say, yo, your family's from South Carolina. That was corny when I was in high school. Today, that's flipped on its head. And that's because of the new black media. So, and that's just 100% honest. Now you have so much talking points that you can come at these people with. And all of these talking points are gained from each and every one of you up here, the new black media. So again, it's not just what you're teaching me, it's what you're teaching everyone. And again, I'm sorry if I left anyone out, of the new black media, but I watch so much. I watch all of you, and I can't name all of you, but
no doubt.
I learned so much from all of you. So again, continue to do the work. It's much important. And what I would say is you're gonna keep growing. As far as the mainstream, as my brother Marcel said, as far as the mainstream black media, they're losing coons by the day. So they're not really, firing Don Lemon. Him, being uppity. It was, the ratings over there are going down. Let's just be honest here, because these people, they're cutting people. Not just Don Lemon got cut. A lot of people at CNN and Fox are getting cut. Their ratings are tanking. Okay, so if you don't want to interview, Greg Marcel Dixon, if you don't want to interview, Tariq Nasheed, you're going to just lose ratings because, again, these people are coming up grassroots. People that don't watch television are still going to know about them. And their names are just going to keep on ringing, because I'm pretty sure that's not the last time that, Marcel's going to be on Jason Black's show. It's not the last time he's going to be on Tariq's show. Election season is coming back up. And it's going to wrap up. And the question is, the reason why he's so dangerous, and I know I'm talking about him like he's not here, is because you never know who he's inspiring to be the next Greg Marcel. Even if that's his purpose, to keep on running and to inspire the next generation, you never know who he's touching. So again, that's what's so dangerous. No, and it's a good thing. It's a good dangerous. As Jason Black,
Big facts.
It's good. But you never know who you're inspiring with your stories and who you're touching with your stories.
Yes, sir.
I totally concur, brother. And for me, I look at it, pretty much the same like how everybody here has already said. I just want it how all of these different things have shifted. You know what I mean? Like we are seeing politicians that were ignoring the conversation now all of a sudden having to pay attention to it, and they have went on a heightened alert. Because I don't know if you guys have got a chance to see yet. Out there in where is that? Somewhere in the Midwest, they expelled a transgender woman from the house, and so it's basically almost a parallel situation with the Tennessee 3 thing. And so just noticing all of these kind of things that they're putting in the way to change the conversation of reparations, I would have to say that's one of the biggest signs for me to notice the effect of the new black media on the world, and especially here in local politics. Also, the other thing is watch all of these other countries that are now talking about reparations, especially these African countries that are subsequently trying to get up on ours too. You know what I mean?
Jamaica,
Now,
that's
with
your
that
signal to
being,
wake up.
Say it again, brother.
Jamaica, that's your signal to wake up. Enough is
Y'all
enough.
heard the call.
Well, you need to also notice. Well, first of all, thank you on stage. That is really my goal. When I first ran, I was going to be a write-in candidate. I was never going to register with a party and go into the primary. I was just going to say, write me in. And it's very, very rare for a write-in candidate to win. And for a write-in candidate who's basically was an unknown like me, I mean, I kind of knew my chances were slim. But I wanted to send a message to the Democrats and the Republicans, but especially Democrats, because they're the ones that get our votes. I wanted to send a message to that establishment up there that don't think, if you think you can ignore us, you will be replaced by us. And an era is coming where you will be held accountable by us. And my attitude was, as long as we are hurting and suffering, the people, first of all, Republican, Democrat, whatever party, if you're serving for public office, you have a responsibility to all people. But the Democrats get almost 90% of our vote. Some elections, 90% or more of our vote. And Black Americans are to the bottom and doing worse in many respects now than we were doing Jim Crow. And they walk around here like they're some king or queens. And my attitude was like, no, if we aren't comfortable and we have to live lives of anxiety and fear, then damn it, you're going to feel the anxiety and fear too until we get what we're owed. So I was running to put our issues front and center. And I was running to try to be an exemplar for others to say, hey, we can just keep talking in circles. We keep talking about, well, they ain't doing nothing for us. They ignore us. They do things for every other group. Okay, we get that. My attitude is, now what are we going to do? You see, I'm a person I'm very solution oriented. Like, I am not going to keep complaining. I am not going to keep knocking on a legislator's door who's going to keep ignoring me. Eventually, if you don't answer my phone calls and you don't open the door when I come, if you can't respond to me in that capacity, you will respond to me as an opponent running against you, calling you out and putting you on blast about the issues about which I'm passionate. Now, some people, I talk about the amount of votes I've gotten, and I ask some people, how many votes did you get? Show me where you ran a successful campaign to show me how it's done on a reparations Black agenda platform, and they can't. But I will tell you this. Now, a lot of candidates in South Carolina are talking about reparations, talking about a Black agenda. Do they have it on their website? Are they even sincere about it? I will say a lot of them no. But the point is now, people are moving a lot more cautiously. And the best thing is I have, at least here in South Carolina, I have a good bit of like over 100-something people who are part of a group I formed called the 4.0 Society, where what reparation is, we just talk about ways to promote the reparations as a policy that these candidates these officials are going to have, or we are going to organize to get them out of there. But it's also now encouraging people to run for office, to get them trained to run for office. Maybe you can actually succeed and get in office where I couldn't. If that's the case, fine. I want people to succeed where I couldn't. But the fact is pushing the issue and pushing the narrative. And to that point, you notice how sometimes when issues are brought up on some of the shows of the new black media, they will actually have some people in mainstream media respond and address it. Like, they're always keeping Tariq's name in their mouth. Roland Martian, okay? And I think Comedy Central just did a whole thing about Tariq. And then, I think, was it Mark? What's it? Mark
Lamar Hill. Oh.
Yeah. He did like a little dig, I believe, against Jason Black, Professor Black, too. Like, these people don't even show their faces. And Roland Marsh is always talking about some, y'all gonna go talk about Roland. He'll go Roland Coonan again or Schilling again. So it's really getting to some of them on these mainstream channels. And that is when you know that you're having an impact. When they can't ignore you any longer, and they're now trying to address you and make it seem like you are the problem for calling them out and their failure to stand up for us instead of their failure to stand up for us being the problem.
And speaking of that, so let me segue to my next question. Because along the lines, I want to kind of pick y'all's brains real quick. I would like to know what does a black agenda, look like to you? So I'd say maybe 5 or less key points of a black agenda to say, if anyone asked any black person walking down the street, what is your black agenda? Like, what does it look like to you? And I guess let's start with We'll start with Marcel, and then we'll go Torian and back up and end with Kid Gravity. So go ahead, Marcel. You got it.
Well, my black agenda is on my platform. It's called a better deal for Black America. We never had a good deal. And that is one, cash reparations, which is direct cash payments. And my plan calls for the payment of at least $3 million. That's a minimum. Okay. It calls for the reestablishment of the Freedmen's Bureau. But this time, the Freedmen's Bureau will not be ran by some quote-unquote benevolent whites who are supposed to be our allies. This time, the Freedmen's Bureau would be staffed and managed by Black Americans only. We will put the people in those positions, and we will have the authority to take those people out of those positions. I envision it working the same way Native Americans have these tribal governments, where they get funding from the government, and the government pretty much stays out of what they do. Obviously, there's constitutional limits, but other than that, they can use that money to their discretion to benefit and address the needs of people of their tribe. We as Black Americans should have had something like that. So my Freedmen's Bureau is not going to be something that's underneath the control or auspices of the federal government. The federal government just provide us with the budget, and then we as Black Americans be able to use that budget to address our needs. So cash reparations, reestablishing the Freedmen's Bureau. Number 3 would be having us as a protected class. That's already kind of done with the reestablishment of the Freedmen's Bureau, because technically we are already an established class or protected class. It just has not been honored. But having us as a protected class, which means, yes, hate crime bills are necessary, because hate crimes of any type against any group is bad. But we, as Black Americans, have a specific history of terrorism, government sanctioned, that no other group has. We deserve to have a special legislation to protect us, and special legislation where we have access to things that are specifically going to be set aside for us. So that's 3. Number 4 will be bringing back our freedmen schools, our freedmen towns, our freedmen's banks, okay, and our freedmen communities. People will say, oh, you want segregation? No, segregation was forced upon us by the government. Segregation was just not blacks live over there, whites over there. Because my great-grandmother said she was just fine with that. My grandmother told me, she said, I was fine with living in an all-black town. She said, I didn't know any black person in South Carolina. She was in New York City at the time. She said, I didn't know any black person in South Carolina who was big and then you living around white people. I am saying separation. We can have our own thriving, self-sustaining communities. And last but not least is number 5, and that's bringing back our Black Wall Street. And I call that the Black Wall Street Initiative, where we are going to pretty much have incubators of Black American freedmen-owned businesses.
Man, the whole bringing back Black Wall Street and the blacks being blacks, I hate to use that word, but for us, foundational Black Americans, to be considered a protected class. And see, these are some of the things that, as a Black agenda, I'm like, well, you could do that now. Reparations, you pass other things now with a stroke of a pen. If other groups can get these types of protections, why can't we? So with that being said, brother Torian Rain, it's on you, brother.
First off, let me just say that's gonna be a hard act to follow because Marcel laid that was a good a good layout plan right there. And one thing that I will say this is that when he mentioned about establishing our own towns and everything, that's piggybacking off of the series that I'm doing on my channel right now called the Black Massacre series. As a matter of fact, I did episode 17 tonight, and I keep thinking about how there was so many towns that were occupied by a lot of Black people, because of course we always hear about Rosewood and Tulsa. Those are the two most popular ones we hear about, but there were so many before and so many after that we didn't know about. And I'm glad I'm doing this research, because I said this is a good reparations study right here. Like when people keep asking, oh, why do you need it? Yeah, you don't deserve it. I said I'm doing a whole series right now on things that happened during slavery and a lot post-slavery that will back up why we need it, and the rundown right there. But of course, the main one is we definitely need reparations, because once we get reparations, everything else is going to fall into line. And everyone keeps saying, oh, well, maybe you can get these educational programs. First off, everybody's not in school. So some people have been out of school and so far removed from school for a while. So what's that going to do for them? Then they'll say we have these outreach programs in these community centers. And I'm like, no, you're not. I said, you're not listening. When we get reparations, then we can control the economy in which we dwell. We can control the autonomy, the political structure, and all of those other things. Because what they're trying to do is they want to say, oh, you can have this, you can have that, but they'll still have control of it. And that's really what it all comes back to, is they want the power and the control of it while seemingly looking like we have it because they may have our name on it. No, we want the reparations. We want the checks. I say checks as in plural because it's going to be more than one. That way we can control the apparatus of how everything works. It was a story that I came across about this Black man out in California who gifted his 13-year-old son 40 acres of land for his 13th birthday. Out of 190 acres that he already owns, he gave his son 40 acres, and he referred it back to our ancestors being promised 40 acres and a mule and not getting it. So he basically was saying, I feel like I'm fulfilling my ancestors' broken promise through myself and giving it to my son as a gift for his birthday. And I said, that is so dope. I said, like, that almost made me shed a tear, because you never hear nothing like that ever. And for him to actually do that for his son, I said, do you realize what you have done? Like, you set a precedent. I said, hopefully, his son maintains that land. That way, generations from now, he can pass it on to his children. His children can pass it on to their children, and it can grow and expand from there. I said that moment right there, he just gave his son a taste of what reparations would be like. For if everyone else got it, imagine how that'll feel, what that moment would be like for them. But yeah, the reparations and the tangibles definitely is at the top of my list. Another point that I would have is our own security. Because when you think about all
Mm,
these towns that were destroyed, imagine if they had their own
mm.
security and defense system in place,
Facts.
to hold, to make sure that they could combat all of that, to make sure that they could try to maintain as much as they possibly can. And it's such a shame about what happened, with Tulsa, because to my knowledge, they were actually winning the fight. It wasn't until they started dropping the bombs that's when they started to lose it. Because that now you're fighting a losing battle. Like, it's gonna be hard to battle off a
Mm-hmm.
bomb. So I would say definitely have our own defense system in place. Make sure you have these people, trained by people who are thoroughly in place to train these individuals. If you know anybody who has like a military background, those are definitely the ones that you want to do the training in order for them to make sure that they have all their soldiers in place, and every person definitely has to play a part. They got to be on their post. You might have someone watching during the day, someone at night, because you don't want to have a moment where, oh, it's during the daytime, nothing can happen during the day. A lot of these massacres happened during the day, so you want to make sure that you have round the clock defense system, security, definitely in place. Like I said, Marcel pretty much covered most of them, but those were the two that I had to add in right there.
Can I jump in real quick and mention that you actually mentioned something that's a part of my Better Deal for Black American plan that I neglected to mention, but it's extremely important. Our own militia, okay?
Yes.
A lot of these white supremacist groups, and y'all know I don't even like the term white supremacist. I feel it's too vague. We need to understand there's white supremacy, which hurts all of us. And of course, they still mainly target Black Americans, but you can get rid of white supremacy and you're going to still have anti-Black American hate. But there are these white supremacist groups who have these white militias who train and, they do marksmanship, they do martial arts, and they live as if they're in a war. Now, ask yourself, when have white people ever been targeted by the federal government for 400, 500 years? Never. We are the ones who need to be moving as if we are in a perpetual war. And that doesn't mean, we can't have fun and leisure. I don't want us to feel like our lives has to be a constant daily stress training. You're never able to have leisure and recreation, but we need to be moving with that sense of being on code, that sense of community. So my plan 2 calls for us to police ourselves. That's another part of my better deal for Black American plan. We have our own police, our own court system. During the days of Reconstruction, there were freedmen courts where we had our own judicial system. I want to have our own militia. We police ourselves. We take care of ourselves in the criminal justice system, our own homes, our own banks. We're pretty much going to be like our own country within a country because, damn it, we deserve it. Because we've done enough in this country to where we deserve that and should have been had it. So thank you, Torian, for mentioning that.
No problem.
No doubt. And man, I would have to totally agree. Marcel definitely laid it out. And so again, like I said, this is kind of like a brainstorming question. So if there's another point that any of y'all want to add on that, then I definitely want to hear it. Because again, thinking that this is my thinking when I say, because we get these questions, well, what does a Black agenda look like? And it's like, well, how he just summed it up. And my thinking is this, because people say reparations, they like to throw this skin color thing out there. It's like, no, this is a debt owed to a lineage-based group. And so I think this is another issue that they're having, is that we're getting into a based conversation and they want to keep it based on skin color because now that becomes racial versus it becoming political. Because if you have a lineage tied to a land, then you now have a political tie to a certain landmass. So, with that being said, Brother Sage, what would you say? If somebody asked you that question, well, you guys say you want a Black agenda, what would be your answer?
Okay, so before I do this, Kid Gravity, do me a favor, put the mask up. I think that we need environmental justice. We need prison reform. I'm just playing with y'all. Now listen, okay. So again, this is going to be redundant because my brother's already said most of it. I think that also, again, I live in New York here. We need we need to be a protected class, the same way some of these Hasidic Jews are up here. We need to be a protected class. You cannot come into their area. They have their own police. They have their own ambulance services. They have their own schools. They have their own buildings that they own. They have their own cameras around their neighborhoods. You can't just come in there and harm them. We need the same exact thing that they have. So, also, I'm not sure if my brothers touched upon this too. We need tax exempt status. I believe that we should not be paying any taxes also, not a dime for any taxes, because again, we built the nation that we're paying these taxes towards. So with that being said, we shouldn't be paying any taxes. The same thing that you gave the quote unquote Native Americans, that's the same thing you're going to give us. So, my brother Torian just said that he has a 17-part series as of right now. I'm on part 12 from his series, but he has 17 of those series that he's going through. Lord knows he might get to 40. I don't want to hear what we're not owed. So again, you're going to treat us the same way that you treat all of these other groups, as that kid was saying, Kid Gravity. You're going to treat us the same way you treat all these other people. So again, what I would add on to, besides, again, I'm not naming cash payments because my brothers covered that extensively. They covered that from here to the moon. You already know my feelings on that. What I want to add, I don't know if they added again, was we need a anti-black crime bill, and we need to be we need to not pay any taxes, tax exempt. I don't want to pay any taxes moving forward. Any money that we get from reparations should not be taxed. Why? Because they weren't taxing money back then when we were in chattel slavery. They weren't taxing. So all that money that you're diving out for reparation cash checks should not be taxed.
And truth be told, I believe in most settlements that those aren't taxable anyway. So those reparation checks actually should not be taxed to begin with. But something else that you said with the going along with the tax exempt status, I also believe that there should not be a foundational Black American in America without paid for health and life insurance. I think those two things, and I mean those are other things that could be passed. Because I look at reparations as, if we're going to call it a system of repair, then it's just not a one-time payment fix all, because this all wasn't built. What they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. So how can you atone for all of this damage in one day? So that's kind of a pipe dream for them to even be talking about. But one way that I see that they could kind of just aid things is, number one, free health insurance for all of us. And then also, and I mean foundational Black Americans, the folks of the lineage, and free life insurance. Or not free, but state paid life insurance. So those are two things I see.
Bring that up, brother.
Go ahead.
Just to add this real quick, it's funny that you bring that up. Professor Black Truth just did a piece on, and shout out to my brother, Ogun Spirit. Much respect to him, his family, and everyone that's going through any type of hardship with children. Professor Black Truth just did a piece. His Sunday address was dealing with that. We need a healthcare system that helps us, specifically just for us. We need that. And that's why when we say reparations doesn't stop at a check, but it starts there. I do think that we need hospitals, again, not to sound anti-Semitic, because it's anti-Semitic when you point these things out. These people, myself, I'm sorry.
I was say, well, according to Carrie Ann Williamson, you're on the stage with an anti-Semite. She tried that, but I shut that down. And I bet you she regrets saying that. And I bet you she'll think twice when she tries to launch that BS assault to try to hide behind her being questioned about her reparations, quote unquote, plan. So yeah, don't let that stop y'all. Y'all do not let them intimidate you with that phrase. Don't.
These people have their own hospitals. They have their own ambulances. They have all of that because they received money. for what they went through, which I'm not justifying. I'm not saying it was, that's horrible, but they got taken care of. We never got taken care of. Now, for a person to be running around that's Jewish and running for president and wants our vote, and you're not going to guarantee us anything, no, it doesn't work like, we're not the John Lewises. We're not going to thank people for their service after they kick our ass. We're not going to do that.
Exactly.
We're demanding things now. And if you don't like it, then don't come here.
Let me say this real quick. These other groups that have gotten reparations, and I don't usually like saying this because I'm not apologetic for being about my people. Okay, but we are not decrying the fact that other groups got repair. If some group has done wrong and the government has done it, then the government needs to repair it. Cool. But why are we always the ones who have to always speak in support of other groups getting repair? Where are these other groups speaking full-throated, full-chested, head held high for us getting our repair? I am not going to always give a disclaimer every time I talk about what other groups have gotten and how we didn't get it. I'm not always going to say, we're not saying you should have got it. I'm going to say sometimes this is what we deserve. Other groups got it. We didn't pay our money. I want to hear these other groups start saying we got this, but Black Americans didn't get anything. And when they don't say that, I'm going to start calling some of them out like I've always done. I'm going to start doing it even more.
Correct. Because that's anti-Black if you don't do that.
It's anti-Black American.
Because, again, if you point out that certain people have supermarkets and hospitals and all of these other things, even security services that ride around specifically just their area, we need the same exact thing. And this is what I see. That's what I'm saying. It can be done. So let's not act like this can't be done. And again, we're not tied to any specific party. We're not a Democrat, we're not a Republican, we're not a liberal, we're not a conservative, we're not with the Green Party. We don't give a damn. Our vote is up for sale, okay?
Exactly.
Then don't ask us for our vote.
Right now, I am trying to get a candidate elected as the South Carolina Democratic Party chair. Now, it's done by delegates. You have to be appointed as a delegate to vote for this candidate. And I'm not voting for him because I like him so much. I mean, I think he's a nice guy, but I don't care less about. He has a beautiful Black family, a beautiful Black American family. I don't give a damn about that either. Okay, lovely kid. What you gonna do for me? Okay, lovely wife. What you gonna do for me? Oh, you so nice. Okay, what you gonna do for me? And Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? Janet was on to something. Janet was trying to tell us all along, Black Americans get your asses on cold. See, Janet, I understood what Janet was telling us be on cold without having to tell us. But anyway, though, I told some people, hey, sign up as a delegate so we can vote. This guy has on his website, SouthCarolinaFort.com. His name Brandon Upson. He has on his website a Black agenda. Now, is it as far as I will go? No, but he does talk about he's full-throated for reparations, and his main thing is, as a party chair, the Democratic Party, when the presidential election comes here, he's going to make it a point to say to the federal candidate, the South is going to be first in the nation for voting for the Democrats. South Carolina is a very important state for the Republican primary, always has been. So the world is going to be paying little old South Carolina attention, which has always been a small state geographically, but always has had a big influence. And he's going to say to these federal candidates, reparations, no more studies needed. He has it on his website. Cash is owed directly to Black Americans. And he has on about Black media and other lineage-based policies. He's already done things lineage-based, like a reparations training, educating Black voters in South Carolina and white voters, whoever came, about reparations, what it is, why we need it, and how we need to get involved in politics, running as candidates or supporting candidates to get it. He's done that already. So when I went to some people, though, they were like, I ain't going to be getting involved, no Democrat being as a delegate. I said to them, y'all, we at war. An enemy uses many tactics to go against their enemy. They infiltrate their squad. They may even take over the squad if they have to. We talk about we're at war and we don't act like it. So I had at least a good people who refused to do it because it's like, well, I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I would support the Republican Party. I'll support the Green Party. I'll support the whatever, the Rainbow Party, if I feel my people are going to get those specific lineage-based policies that we are due reparations. But y'all know Reparations, like you said, it's not a one-time thing. We're going to continue living after reparations. So we got to get the systemic things taken care of too. Reparations first and foremost. We also have systemic things we deserve to get. We deserve reparations, that cash, and then some. This country can never do too much for us because they've done more than any other group has ever been through against us. So you need to start thinking like we're in war, and we have to go to the Republicans, go to the Republicans. Gotta go to the Democrats, go to the Democrats. We have to start acting like we're in war, because when you're in war, you're gonna do what it takes to defeat your enemy.
Big facts, and you know, I think that is the one thing that is different about this generation, and also the future generation of voters, because we hear this out of the previous generation. This level of this is policy talk, and for me, I'm so glad that we are pushing this line right now, because we're getting down to policy talking versus, well, I like this candidate, you know, because family. For me, what's killing me right now is the fact that all of these people that thought racism and white supremacy was going to go away if they got Trump out of office, they dead silent right now, and none of them will mention white supremacy or anti-black racism now. And it's amazing to me. But with that being said, you know, just take notice to how they on a dime, family. So for those of y'all who are watching, I know you guys have seen it. And you're watching the pivot, because no one is saying white supremacy now in the same places that was screaming it about Donald Trump. And all of a sudden, these people who are still around aren't getting called out like that. Go figure. I guess all is well.
Quick question. I know you about to throw it to Kid Gravity. 15 years ago, were they really mentioning the verbiage of white supremacy on mainstream media? Were they saying that specific word?
No.
They had like a fear of saying that specific word?
It was always set in a, well, this is the Klan. This is the old Klansman. So everybody would separate like the Klan. That was the poster child of racism and anti-blackness and white supremacy. However, we know better.
But so they're trying to say that a school teacher cannot be a white supremacist. An administrative at a school can't be a white supremacist. They're trying to say that. So you're saying that my brother is not dealing with an administrator that's a white supremacist today, right now?
That's insane. But yes, that's what they're trying to do.
Oh, I was talking about you, Greg. But yeah, you got that.
About to say, I mean, I've lived that experience. I mean, the Dr. Karen Wicks, so I want to keep her name out there. Y'all heard the audio. I mean, I have it on recording, and that's not the first time she literally said, you know, I talked about you at one point being an angry black man. Okay, so and the reason she felt so emboldened to say that, you know, I keep bringing up the racial element. It's deeper than this, though. It's also a political retaliation element. Look at those pictures of her sitting up there with the South Carolina governor and Betsy DeVos, who was the superintendent of schools for the Trump administration. And don't put it past Clyburn to be somewhere in the mix. Now, I can't say definitively that he was, but just don't put it past. There's a reason why she felt so comfortable, not once, but twice saying, oh, you sound like an angry black man. Then you being an angry black man, and then said that she would not be inviting me back. Even though in that same recording, because there's more to that recording, she admitted that my data is better than most, and my performance had been stellar. She admits that, and I have it on audio recording. So she knows I'm a public figure. Like commercials of me were running, billboards of me were, even though it was last minute, and people were like, "Who's that guy?" And some people hadn't even registered to vote. Like some people told me the day of the elections, people was like, "Hey, how do you register to vote online? You can only register to vote within a certain window." Some people was like, "How do you vote online?" You don't vote online. Other candidates, even candidates who have won, said people was like, "Well, who's gonna come and pick up my vote? Or when do the voting papers get delivered to me?" There's a lot of education needs to happen. But the point I'm making is she saw my billboards all throughout my district. Now, if she would still say that to me, imagine what our people who don't have that type of publicity, imagine what they go through. The only reason I'm able to get to this far is because people saw what I was going through and reached out to help me. Imagine what our people go through every single day who don't have publicity, whose voices don't get heard. And I'm not saying I'm a big voice, but thank goodness, like I said, because of the new black media, I've been able to get, my reach has expanded. But imagine what our people who feel like, okay, I'm not known by anyone, and they just suffer in silence, indignity after indignity after indignity. If that person would say that to me, knowing that I've been on TV, knowing I have billboards about me, and feel that they can get away with it, just imagine what our black brothers and sisters go through every single day, whose names we will never know. That's why this is bigger than me. That's why even when I want to drop out, I don't, because this is bigger than me. Even if I don't win, I'm always going to bring these issues to the forefront. Y'all, I have a saying, where the cameras go, we go. The media ignores us. But here's the cool thing. With the new black media, we have cameras where we can go in front of, okay? I know sometimes we think big platforms, but there are smaller platforms, and any platform that will get you and your message on air, take advantage of it, okay? Secondly, I want to say that we have to be more on the ground. And I know some people in the new black media, I know that's starting to happen. There's one platform, there's so many of us called Amend the Mass Media. They actually will go and do like live coverage of events. I know Tariq has gone to sometimes things that have happened, and I know there's others too. Can you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I have had people of all age groups, like somebody's grandmother saw me on Data with the Data, and her grandson, who I'm friends with, was like, hey, my grandmother was like, I can't believe this guy was here in South Carolina. She's like, these people over here will never vote for Clyburn if they heard this guy. So we need to never underestimate the power of the new black media. Their reach is growing. Because when I have grandmothers that have seen me on like Data with the Data or Nicole or Nikki's View, and so we think the new black media is like usually younger black people, black Americans are on code, and people who are our allies who ride with us. No, it's reaching far, 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 and continuously expanding demographics of people. I've even had white MAGA people who saw me on Tariq or heard about me on Jason Black or heard about me on Vicky Dillard. So I want to say that we need to bring this message everywhere as often as we can, because if I had somewhat of a voice in what the injustice that was done to me still happened, imagine what's being done to our brothers and sisters who don't have a voice. It is our responsibility as those of us who are cognizant to speak for them when no one else does. And they speak but don't feel heard. That's why I stay in this race. I say at the end of the day, I'm going to speak for my people, because there are so many people who go through worse than what I've went through and I'm going through, and no one hears from them, and they just suffer and die off with no justice. I'm tired of that.
Facts. Kid Gravity Beyond, it's on you, brother. What would a black agenda be?
Go ahead. Mine is different, considering that I'm not of the soil here. So I had to move reparations down a little bit. But for me, that's still paramount. But first thing is we got to regulate mass media. It's about time. It's got to be a balance. You have way too many choices with mass media. They going to feed you their whatever narrative they want. Independent media is the new wave. Everybody knows this, from what we do here to podcasts to even videos online. It has to be a balance somewhere. So I think it's time that mass media machine got to go, especially with these politicians. Y'all want these votes, you're going to have to come down and talk to the people. Now, if y'all don't want to have these forums like in schools and in theaters, come on a YouTube channel, go on a podcast. Don't go to ones that's just popular because they get thousands of downloads every episode. That's stupid. If you really want to look, Marcel is a prime example. Our channels don't rival CNN. We don't rival MSNBC. We don't rival Fox. But because of us and how we help him get his profile out, people know who he is. Like, I don't know what major news program called Marcel up. Besides like Tammy Mack or something. Besides like Tammy Mack.
A CNN, no. I think one of them did contact me the day of the election to get like a little brief statement, but that was it. I don't even think they played it. I've had some local media the day of the election, they get like a statement you want to make after the election is over. Some of them contact me, and magazines like Time Magazine contacted me, had me on the phone for almost 2 hours. I just thought that it was going to be this big expose about me, which I knew. She told me when she reached out to me that they were doing a story about Clyburn and his legacy and how it's going to be viewed. That was supposed to be like an opposing view. So I knew it wasn't going to be about me, but she had me on the phone so damn long. I was like, okay, she's going to do a whole page about me. She edited it out, and I got like a sentence or two in there. Okay, I got like 2 sentences. But my mother and father and everyone was like, "Oh, you in Time Magazine? I can't believe it." Okay, I'm like, okay, whatever. And then Rolling Stone magazine has contacted me. So I've had some publications, big time publications, contact me, and I have had some shows that I don't know if you would consider them the new black media because they're not. I don't know if you would consider people like 85 South and them the new black media. I don't know. Like they contacted me, but a lot of times shows like that never follow through. I think I don't know if it's the people who host the shows, but it's sometimes people.
It's probably usually their handlers.
We see black faces on the shows, but a lot of times it's a face that's not black, or it's a black face not on code in charge of the show. And they reached out to me, and then it just went cold. I spoke to my campaign manager and all, and then just never heard anything from them. And I had too much to do to chase down any media entity. And really, at this point, this time my election, the most important media is for people to be getting phone calls from my volunteers and knocks on the doors from my canvassers. Because a lot of our people, and at least in like places like South Carolina, a lot of them, like, yes, I'll get some of the younger crowd, but a lot of people aren't on Twitter. They don't even watch the news anymore. And shows like 85 South, sometimes they don't even watch that. So it's good to get my name out there because I am running a local race, but I am pushing reparations in the Black agenda as a national matter. But at the end of the day, y'all, we have to become what we know we deserve, what we need. And that's why I support the new black media, because it's us saying this mainstream media, even when they have black faces, they ain't for us. So hell, we gonna do what they should be doing, but they're not doing. We gonna do it ourselves.
Right. Well, I covered number 1. All right, number 2, I said close the borders, clean up immigration, and end sanctuary cities. It's high time.
You hear that, Joe Biden of New York, aka Eric Adams?
Oh, you mean when he was crying? You mean when he was crying?
I had to throw that in there. I know he crying. He crying now. He regretting it now.
Yeah.
Sage want to see him. Sage want to see him. I just Sage want to see him.
No comment. No.
There it is.
Yeah, that's your
that's your baby.
I was at an event on Saturday, and unfortunately, I left before he got there. But it was like a political event, and because nowadays, what I'm learning from the new black media is that get more involved, be present. For certain events that's going on, really look these people in the face and try to get them on record saying certain things. So when I seen, I never got to see Eric Adams, but I would love to ask him, what is your legacy going to be when you leave office? No, honestly, what do you want to be known for? Because you're not doing anything revolutionary. And look, I'm a cat's out the bag. I didn't vote for this guy. He didn't offer anything specific for Black Americans, so I'm not voting for you. If you don't have foundational Black Americans on your tongue, I'm not voting for you, or at least policies specific for us. I'm not going to vote for you. It doesn't make any sense. I vote for policy. I don't give a damn if your skin is just as dark as mine. That doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you used to be, because he used to be the borough president of Brooklyn.
Yes, sir.
Very accessible then. I remember when a very close friend of mine, the dude I grew up with, he was a post office dude, and he got beat up by cops while on the job. post office uniform on, delivering mail. Cops whipped his ass. So
Wow.
yeah, so it doesn't matter, what kind of job you got, you still gonna get this work. But during that time is when I actually met Eric Adams, because he came around where I used to live at with my mom's, and he was very present during that time. I want to say he was a lot more involved with the Black community than he is now. And I understand he's aware of the whole New York City, but you are Black, sir. What are you going to do specifically for your people? Everyone else does that. Everyone else does that. They do things specifically for their people.
Mhm.
So I expect the same from you. If there was a Mexican mayor, I guarantee you, the
Jackson
Mexican,
Heights would be popping right now.
yeah, Washington
And
Heights.
they will be for their people unapologetically. I had a conversation, and y'all, we do need to show up more. And it's starting to happen a little, but we act like we have so much time left. And truth be told, we've been out of time. But because we're Black Americans, we know how to make time. We make a way out of nowhere. We know how to make time when there's no time. But I had a conversation today with a guy who called me about voting for some lady that Clyburn's endorsed for the South Carolina Democratic chair. And I said, Latinos, Hispanics, and these are not Black ones. And even if it was, they're still not Black Americans. But I said they're only 3% of the South Carolina Democratic Party. And yet every time a Hispanic or Latino gets up to speak in front of this 70% Black party here in South Carolina, they will make it known they're Latino Hispanic. They plan to engage the Hispanic Latino community. LGBTQ, we have one. She sent me her flyer of our campaign in the mail, rainbow colors. They stand on their identity. I said to him, this party is 70% Black American. Okay? Why are we not standing on who we are? This party should be ran by us and doing, if we are 70% of the party, 70% of the policies. I said, our ancestors are rolling in their grave in disgust. And he was like, well, things will get worse. I said, stop telling me things will get worse. I said, tell me how things are going to get better. I said, y'all been preaching that things get worse to Black Americans for the longest, and South Carolina just had this lowest Black voter turnout generation. Obviously, the scare tactics are no longer working. We don't give a damn how much worse things can get. We've been through worse. Tell us how much better things are going to get. And I said, we're cowards. You want to tell us that our ancestors died for us to have the right to vote? No, they didn't die for the right to vote. They were killed trying to exercise their right to vote. That's a difference. What they died trying to do is get us the things this country owes us that y'all refuse to fight for, and they're cursing you from their graves right now. So we do have to be more visible. And you're right. If it was a Mexican, if Eric Allen, whatever that's his name is, if he was Mexican or Asian, they will be up there standing on that and be centering their community. And I know New York City, which I always say, I don't know how you live in that place, but I know New York City is all this, we are immigrants and blah, 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 blah. The data shows that most Black people in New York City are still FBA freedmen, are still Blacks or descendant American slaves, products of their Great Migration. But two, New York City is still quite a very Black place. And what I don't get, they talk about we are a city of immigrants and talk about the diversity and the Big Apple. Okay, Black Americans are responsible for a lot of the style, the cool factor, whatever it is that New York City is supposed to have. So is Eric Adams even one of us, though? That's why I don't know. Is he even a Black American?
No, he's Jamaican.
Oh, well then.
All right, next one, because Marcel gonna go off on this, man. I said reparations, including a provision that only Black Americans are eligible. So nobody tries to get off in your claim. We got the scammers around. That's a big thing.
Well, kid, reparations, kid. Like you said earlier, once we get it popping, we've now given the blueprint to the world on how to get reparations. So I don't know where all this hate comes from, especially from other Black people.
Because they're scared that you guys are going to become a competing economy and you guys will lock your borders. And nobody going to be able to participate unless you tax them, unless you pay the tax. Nobody wants to do that. And they know all these structures are going to fall. I mean, Bath and Beyond is about to close. And Black people love that, especially when we get the 20% off coupon in the mail. We in there. So Black folks were like, when this whole thing started, all right, we're going to be a little more conservative with our money. We going to spend local. And now you see everything falling. We're not consuming like we used to. So they know it's gonna get worse. But you know, we're gonna say that for another day. I might actually do a commentary on that. Number 4, restart the contract with Black America with provisions from the Platinum Plan infrastructure, including vouchers for Black families for schools and 1-year grants for new businesses. So that will cover your mortgage, cover your costs when you gotta, you know, start your business up. You know, restaurant, beauty supply, whatever, trucking. You know, cover your costs for a year, tax free, of course. And last, establish neighborhood watches with Black social workers and lawyers and security forces, and also scholarships for college and trade. No, I'm sorry, scholarships for college, and also bring back trade. You know, like the welding and all that into middle school and high school.
I love how he wrote it on an envelope.
I had to write it on an envelope. I had to. I had to, because I was gonna forget. I was gonna forget some, so I had to write it on an envelope.
Man, yes, indeed. And I like all of the ideas that I've heard. And they're all of these things, I guess they're all hand in hand too. And again, for those who don't know that are watching, you know, Kid Gravity is Jamaican. But understand, now, see, that is a comprehensive plan that does not infringe on reparations. So when you see a lot of people do that, hey, well, what about us? No, there's still plans that can come into existence that would assist non-foundational Black Americans. But, you know, you hear some of these other people, hey, wait a minute, you guys, especially like some of them folks over
help
there.
with.
And you know what's going on? They want us to go over there to Africa. And the Sudan is like on fire right now.
It's Fresh and Fit dealing with that because they got a lot to say about it.
But hey, you guys would be cool over in the Sudan because you're not Nigerian. They'd actually let y'all cross the border. Real talk.
Right. They shut it down over there, ain't they?
Yeah.
My question is to the family. Anyone can answer this. When do you, if you can trace your lineage back to the 1700s, when do you stop being a certain ethnicity? 100 years? 200? How about 300 years? Because, again, if we're tracing our lineage back and it goes back to the 1700s, we're not West African. I mean, look, everyone in the world is African, okay? Let's get that out. Everyone in the world is. But when I look at a Jamaican, I don't call them an African. I call them a Jamaican.
Right.
It's very simple. It's not rocket science. Let's not play these semantics here. People, again, like I was telling Kid Graphic earlier, if you don't want to understand something by now, if you don't understand something, you don't want to understand it.
Facts.
Yeah.
Well, not just that, though. The truth of the matter is, if we would still be Africans, if not for other Africans, okay? People are going to leave that part out. It's not like, you know, as far as the transatlantic slave trade goes, I'm not getting into the pre-colonization, pre-transatlantic slave trade presence of Black Americans or Black people in America. I'm talking about as far as the transatlantic slave trade goes, those people who were captured and sold off to the Europeans. Now, those people say they were prisoners of war. Sometimes they were just some African civilization who were greedy and wanted to supply and demand. There was a demand for enslaved people. They cared nothing about these other people from other African civilizations, sometimes within their own, and sold them to the Europeans. So one of the reasons why we're no longer African, Africans had a lot to damn do with that. So no one's going to lecture me about telling me that I'm African. Second of all, most Black people in America actually came from Black Americans. America did get a small percentage of the Africans who were captured and then sent via the transatlantic slave. Most of them went to South America, Brazil, then the Caribbean, and then to other parts of Central and South America. America got like 4%. Most of America's Black population came from people who were enslaved in America and then had children in America. It came from people who were already in America. It did not come from people being imported from the African continent. America had breeding plantations, okay? So most of America's source of their very growing Black population were to take people who had been here, had been born here, and breed them, as disgusting as that is, and disgusting as it sounds, to continue expanding the Black population. But also, like you said, Sage, the moment that our ancestors came over here and gave birth in this country, that's the moment that child was no longer, quote unquote, West African. That child was American. Okay?
Facts.
That was the start of the first generation on American soil.
And not just that, we have a very unique culture. Okay, Black American culture is really the quintessential American culture. And why? Because the Europeans came over and continued to practice their culture from Europe. Yes, Native Americans did experience some change, but there's a part to that story that's not told a lot. They don't talk about how a lot of these Native American tribes were partnering with these Europeans to fight other Native American tribes. They don't talk about some of these Native American tribes immediately adopted some of the European practices. That's a whole other conversation. But yes, there was some change to the Native American way of life, and some of them was imposed on them with violence, but some of them continued practicing their way of life uninterrupted. Okay, some of them, and some of them willingly adopted the ways of the Europeans. Black Americans were violently prevented from practicing whatever culture we may have had from the African continent. We created a new, vibrant culture that is quintessentially American. I mean, it started right here. The only culture that is indigenous to the United States of America. And now it's the most imitated worldwide, in spite of them trying to take our faces off of album covers, in spite of them trying to denigrate our music, calling it devil music, calling it jackass music, in spite of them making fun or ridiculing our style of hair. And now you go to Japan or China and you see them over there trying to look, talk, and dress like us. You go over to Spain and Mexico. I've been to both those places, and you see soul food restaurants. Okay, they're trying to cook like us. In Mexico, I found a soul food restaurant, and they were doing things like Brunswick stew, something that they eat here in the Gullah Geechee area, mainly in Georgia, Gullah Geechee area. But Brunswick stew is not something that's Mexican. And guess who was cooking it? It was white people cooking it. Okay. Wow. Soul food restaurant by white people. Wow. Now it smelled good, but when I looked at the plate that you was getting, I was like, okay, yeah, I can tell already they ain't hitting on nothing. Yeah. The point of that
there's actually a Black couple in Japan that have a soul food restaurant. I've been trying to get them on. I've been trying to get them on the show.
Yeah. Our culture is imitated and loved worldwide. We are envied worldwide because people love our culture, but they can't do it like us, so they hate us.
Facts.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons.
Where did you have another point, Kid?
I just want to say to what Sage said about, the first people being born here, they were no longer African. That's true, because somebody in the comment thread said that what he said what Marcel said wasn't true. If two Nigerians go to the UK and have a kid, that kid ain't Nigerian no more. They consider themselves British.
Okay.
They're not going to talk. They're not going to talk with a Nigerian accent. They're going to sound like Idris Elba all day.
Yeah, they're going
until it's time to go down the aisle.
Yeah, they're Nigerian descent.
Nigerian too? Isn't Idris
exactly? They're Nigerian descent.
Yes, he's Nigerian.
Genetically, they will still have those same genetics.
Right.
Okay, but culturally, they will no longer be Nigerian American. But hold on, there's a problem with that whole statement too. We are using concepts of nationality that exist now that did not exist then. Okay, we are also trying to compare Nigerian coming to Canada and having a child, saying that child's still Nigerian. No, Black Americans went through something completely different. We went through, for those who were brought from the African continent or those who were indigenous, whatever origin you may say you have, we went through a violent, extremely brutal deprogramming of whatever culture we had and had to build a culture anew. The same way we built America, because there was no America before Black Americans came. And if you look up the history of the British colonies, they were failing before an infusion of Black people. People were going back to Europe, actually. People were actually going back to Europe. So Black Americans built this country anew. We built a Black American culture, which is American culture anew as well. So stop trying to compare a person getting on an airplane today willingly, or maybe even as a refugee, going to another country, having a child, to what Black Americans went through, where it was a brutal, brutal, brutal deprogramming of whatever cultural identity we had, and the people who were supposed to be our brothers and sisters participated in it. And stop trying to compare that to concepts of nationality that we had today, because there is no person, any immigrant that comes to America right now, illegal immigrant, they're not being brutally deprogrammed of their culture. Actually, they're getting given money and policies and being treated like they built the country. Okay? Black Americans never had such a warm reception. So stop it.
Yeah, when you brought that up, it kind of reminds me of when I had a content creator I talked to on my channel who goes by the name of Adonis. He's from New York, and he's lived over in London for like the last 10 years. And when it was a viral video that he did where he was talking to these two women, one was black and the other one was white. Well, the white girl, she just kind of inserted herself into it, but he threw her in there and kind of like tripped her up. So, and one of the questions he had asked the black girl, he was and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, he said, "What are you, or where are you from?" And she said she's African and Caribbean. And when she said that, I immediately like had to pause the video. I was like, African and Caribbean. So wait a minute, you from a whole continent and a whole area of nations. Like you didn't specify where in Africa or where in the Caribbean, but you speaking with a whole UK British accent, an accent that's not conducive to any of the places that you just said that you're from. It wasn't like a got you moment. It was just a simple question. And then when he was asking her, when you have kids and you're still here, what will they be classified as? He had to cue the Jeopardy music because she literally got stuck. I was like, you tripped yourself up on that previous question. He followed up with that one because he knew you wasn't going to have a response to that because you knew you messed up. I thought that was hilarious.
That was. And shout out to that brother Adonis over there in the UK bringing
he been going in on them TikTok videos exposing the people over in the UK. I said that's how you know it's a complete disconnect. We all in the diaspora, but there's a complete disconnect, and I think that's perfect that we have a person who is FBA because he's from New York and he's over there in London, and he's exposing us to how the black people over there are completely different than us over here. Like it's a completely different space over there and mindset. And that one video right there told me all I needed to know. He did some other ones, but that one right there told me all I needed to know.
And we're waking up to that. You know, Black Americans, this is actually to our downfall. We're actually some of the most, I believe, the most welcoming people on earth. Think about it. We can't go to a white neighborhood, which, by the way, I wouldn't want to. I've always lived around mainly black my entire life, and I'm perfectly fine and happy. I don't have any cultural insecurity. I had some friends who was, I don't know if I want to live around black people my entire life. I said I would. That's what I would want. Okay. Wow. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I have no cultural insecurity. I've always loved living around my fellow Black American people. I would have it no other way. Okay. That's not hate to the other group. That's love for my group. Okay. However, we've been very welcoming. Remember the days where Black immigrants used to step off the plane and we would say, "Hey, brother, are you black like me?" I ain't no black. I ain't no black. Now we are saying, you know what? You're right. You are not black, because that's something for Black American. In America, black refers to Black Americans. It's not inclusion. And now they're saying you're being divisive. But this is after decades of these other groups being in our country, other black groups, we're speaking of now, but they have organizations for Jamaican Americans, Bahamian Americans, Afro-Cubans, Haitians, Niger, Ethiopians. But we're divisive when we now delineate and say, we are Black Americans. These are things that are specific to us. You see, this double standard has to stop. And second of all, I want to say this too. I've been to quite a few countries, and I haven't been to Europe a lot. I already don't like Europe. The only time I've been in Europe, I went to Spain. That was a free trip because I have no interest in Europe. maybe it is over there. When I was in Canada, which is probably the country that's closest to us culturally outside, I guess, what you may think some European countries have, even though I don't consider any of them, because America is a unique country because we're unique people, Black Americans. I have never gotten this type of disdain or contempt or negative stereotypes of Black America. I think they know who to say it to, or maybe I just never bothered to ask. When I'm on the continent or in the Caribbean, the closest I got was when I was in Ghana. And my tour guide was like, if I had to choose my favorite nationality and my favorite people to have on tour, it would be Black Americans. Like, he's like, Black Americans get on my nerves, but I love Black Americans. You're funny, you're warm, you're fun to be around. He's like, I always have stories to tell with Black Americans. He's like, I have a criticism of y'all. And then I stopped eating. They got this thing called, what's it called? Kele Wele. It's really good. It's like some spicy beans and plantains cooked together. I eat it with jollof. Yeah, I did. It was really good. I stopped eating my jollof and Kele Wele. I was like, what happened now? What's the criticism you got of us? Because at that time, I was on my delineation. Okay? Right. I was delineating more. I was becoming who I am now when it comes to delineation. I always delineate to a certain extent, but more now, and more than the past. And he said, when Black Americans get money, y'all never think to spend it with Africa. Y'all go to Europe, y'all go to Asia, y'all go to South America, y'all go to the Caribbean. But what about coming here and spending it with Africans? We can build this up. And I said to him, why is it our responsibility, or what obligation do we have to Africa? I asked him that. I said, you know what, Baba? That was his name. I said, I get this. I never was really like that. I used to have sometimes that mentality, like, this whole big Black, we are all one. I said, but why do we have this? Why do y'all feel we have an obligation to Africa? I said, it's supposed to be the other way around. I don't remember Black Americans putting y'all in boats and shipping y'all off to a place where y'all will go through the most brutal terror that's ever been inflicted on people. No, I don't remember y'all going through Jim Crow, redlining, chattel slavery, FHA, destruction of Black neighborhoods, lynch mobs, racial massacres, and we just sat back and let that happen. Y'all saw us going through centuries of that and never sent one ship, never made a statement condemning it, or took a stance condemning it, at least. I said, but when Africa has been under attack and under siege, Black Americans, even though we were going through way worse in a country where we are outnumbered, we helped to stop the Italians from invading Ethiopia. We helped to end apartheid in South Africa. We helped stop the invasion of Mozambique and Angola. Some of your first freedom fighters against the British colonization, like in Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he was educated in the HBCU when the AIDS crisis was ravaging the continent, because we know the Europeans brought it over there. We are the ones who raised millions or billions of dollars to help combat it. Where do y'all get this sense of entitlement that we owe y'all something? Y'all owe us. Because you talk about some Africa's the motherland. Well, Africa's our mother. She's the worst damn mother that has ever existed. Because what type of mother would see their kids going through what we've been through and not once fight like hell to save them? Y'all owe us. We don't owe y'all. Do you get that? He ain't said nothing. The whole restaurant was quiet. That's the furthest extent I've had of any sort of disrespect being shown towards Black Americans that I can recall. One guy from Kenya tried to disrespect Black American woman. Now he's living in America now. He thinks the Black woman is holding the Black man back. I said, maybe in Kenya. Wow. I said maybe in Kenya. I said in America, the Black American women have always had Black Americans in his back. We've been each other's ride or die for centuries, and we always want to be. I said, so speak for what's going on in Kenya. I don't know what y'all got going over there. I said, don't come bringing your Kenyan experience to our Black American experience. That was in 2016. I wasn't even at this level of delineation then. Even I realized that was, uncalled for. So that's the most experience I've had. But I'm glad that guy is calling out the disrespect and making them look silly, stupid, ignorant, and bigoted. Because someone needs to do it, because it's there. And it's funny, when he does those videos, they're trying to talk like us. They're using our slang, listening to our music. Okay, I could go on. They are idolizing our celebrities and then got the audacity to have that type of contempt for us. And I love when he did that video about Americans don't know about the rest of the world, and he showed them a map or something. And they couldn't even name some of the countries right there in Europe. So shout out to him.
And I love how he ends it off with the straw question. How many holes does a straw have? And they be like, 2. He gets them every time. Every time he gets them with that straw question.
And that's really scary that they don't get that.
Wow. So, man, with that being said, let me ask y'all this question, man. We have seen the old guard, like the old Boule crowd. They're pretty much dying off, but we have recently seen the replacements, the Boule replacement squad, and it's like we're probably going to see a whole new wave of Boule bootlicks or whatnot. However, there's also been a rash of the conservative level of, I guess you could say, chicanery or coonery. And I want to get y'all take on this clip. I want to just play this clip real quick, and I need y'all's opinion on this. And I will start with Tory and Rain Reloaded once this clip concludes.
Some people that were talking about reparations in this country. They wanted reparations. And I remember I made this particular liberal so angry at me because I told them right to their face, nobody owes you anything for slavery. If you want to tell the truth about it, it is you who owes. It's you who owes. Why do you owe? Because somebody in those fields took stripes for you. Somebody, after those fields were ended and slavery was ended, somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you. Somebody fought wars and died for you. Somebody lived less than because they didn't have what you have, and they did it for you. There are people in their graves right now, and they are there because they were willing to stand up and fight for you. Those folks on the Edmund Pettus Bridge carrying American flags, take that, Colin Kaepernick, living in a society that he could scarcely acknowledge, something that he has never known, living with a bigotry that none of us can imagine. Carried American flags on that bridge. And when they were hit upside the head with nightsticks and shot with water hoses and knocked to the ground, they got up and picked those flags up and kept marching. And they did it for you. Nobody owes you anything. If anybody owes, it's you. Because you've been the benefactor of freedom. You are the one that owes.
Listen, when you, Beezil, I don't know if you can see my reaction in the back, like when you was playing that video, but I literally had to throw my head back like a Pez dispenser when you pulled him up on the screen. Because this dude, listen, I have a whole video coming soon about him. He is definitely in the bed bucking hall of shame without the shadow of a doubt. But when I saw that, I'm like, what in the world is this guy talking about? And now here's the thing, I had saw the video floating around on Twitter, but I never thought to actually play it. And I said, you know what, let me just go ahead and watch it and see why this video is spreading, especially since this is a video that is from 2021. Because I made sure that I saw the date. It said 2021. So it's from 2 years ago. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, did this dude really just sit up there and say that we owe America reparations? And I'm trying to sit up there before he even goes into his little diatribe even any further than he already has. I'm sitting there saying to myself, for what? Like, what in the world? I said, so y'all gonna sit up there and try to say we quote unquote 13% of the population? You know, they done increased the 50% to like 60 now. It's like it's gone up. I'm like, I'm waiting for that 100. I'm like, apparently we commit all the crime. Apparently, let them tell it. I said, apparently we're doing all of this, and you want us to pay you for what exactly? That was the first thing that came to my mind, and I noticed that he took a dig at Colin Kaepernick. I was like, why did you even have to bring his name up? And I said, this guy is so stupid. He is in an area, because he's already lieutenant governor. He's in an area that has a very high black population that would have supported him. That's not going to do it now. He's going to fall into the category of what's his name, Larry Elder, out there in California, where he buck danced so hard and tapped all the tap out of his shoe and still lost the position he was running for. That's the same thing that's going to happen to Mark Robinson.
Mhm.
And then he's going to end up getting the violins from me. Like, I'm just waiting for the day when that actually happens, because it's definitely going to happen. And I wonder who he's going to blame for that. He probably going to blame black people, but it's like, you just sat up there and told black people that those who qualify for reparations, basically you shouldn't even ask for it, but instead it's America that should be getting it from you. And notice that when I was watching that, I'm like, who are you talking to? Because there was like hardly nobody there. I'm like, maybe it's because,
Right.
it's 2021. Maybe a lot, they don't have a lot of people in there yet because it was still in that pandemic phase. And it's probably not a lot of people there. And then I just heard like small little claps, here and there. And I said, I can just about guess what the demographic of that small crowd was too. I bet it looked just like that. And I said, this guy is unbelievable. Well, he's a buck dancer, so it's not shocking that he said that in that capacity.
I haven't even watched that video or heard it. I can't even stand the sight of that fat. Look at him, fat, can barely breathe, sweating all hard, about to bust out of that little suit of his. I can't stand a coon. And then talking with all of that conviction in his voice. You could be a conservative. I'll be in a coon server. That's exactly what he is. Yeah, there is a terrible price to pay for these coons, and it's coming fast. And by the way, like I said, don't think those white voters, even the ones that are validated by him sitting up there cooning, don't think that they think highly of that coon. They're looking at him and saying, this is a real old sellout. This is a real coon. Like, this person is the lowest of low, because this person is really going to sit up here and sell his people. They would rather respect somebody who's going to go there and stand on what they believe, even if they don't agree with that person. That's someone's going to get up there and just. And we're going to talk about this thing some other time, where we have this wave. This is not new. We have these black people who either think because they've made it or they are doing something successful, or who think at the moment they're in front of white people, the best way to get kudos or the best way to make themselves feel better about themselves is to talk down to black Americans. Well, either bootstrapperism or sometimes complete BS. What that coon said, I have not listened to it, was absolutely stupid, was dumb as hell. If that coon is going to say that we somehow, or our ancestors, or America, because of what our ancestors endured, that coon is actually making a case for reparations, dummy.
Right.
He's actually making the argument for reparations. So I don't respect that. I despise that. I despise that coon, all sweaty and fat, like he's sweating bacon grease. So I have nothing more to say about that.
Yeah, and on top of that, I'm like, last time I checked, didn't the enslavers, didn't they get reparations when our ancestors got officially free for the loss of labor? I'm like, they love to leave that part out. They love to leave that part out when it comes to the reparations discussion. But you know who we dealing with.
Can y'all leave my uncle alone?
The former Confederates got land from America underneath the Homestead Act. That almost 300 million acres of land that America provided, that went to former Confederates who fought against the nation. That's $10 trillion. And as of 2000, 50 million white Americans were still enjoying wealth from the Homestead Act. Let's not talk about the GI Bill. that former Confederates or their descendants were able to, from which they were able to benefit. You're talking about freedoms that America has given us, and yet people who fought against America benefited from the resources and wealth of America that were generated by Black Americans.
Guess what?
Kick gravity.
Guess what I just found out? I can't even get this mask off. There you go. That's what I just found out. I think he was feeling himself because I just went on his Wikipedia page and he went after that group and told him I'm not apologizing.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't do nothing to him. So yeah, I think he's feeling himself.
He's a fat, disgusting coon, like a fat coon who thinks that he's showing strength of character.
Okay.
Who think that it
Right.
is showing
You know what? If he'd have went on an apology tour, he might have lost some weight.
Exactly. Who thinks that it is showing character by doubling down on being a coon.
Yes, sir.
Facts. And real quick, Brother Sage, there was you have a YouTube channel, don't you, brother?
Yeah, mostly videos, not like you brothers, YouTube. But yeah, I put it in the chat. I don't know how to share it to the thing.
Oh yeah. Go ahead and put it in the chat.
Can we get a segment called Sage on the Stoop? And you just go in for like 2 minutes. You go in for like 2 minutes. You do like YouTube shorts.
I would love to. I would love to. I would go to like the grimiest hood in New York and love to do that just to show But back to the fat dude. No offense taken. He was pandering. Marcel took a lot of my points, so I'm not going to beat the dead horse. But it takes knowledge to be a coon. You have to actually know that you're cooning in order to be a coon. I'm one that believes that we are our ancestors. So anything that happened to them is happening to us today. We are the embodiment of these people. So if they were done wrong, we're also done wrong. Anything that's owed to them is not owed to us because their legacy gets passed down to us whether we like it or not. As far as, that dude, I guess, he was pandering. He threw Colin Kaepernick's name out, which that situation with Colin Kaepernick happened about 6-7 years ago now. For you to bring his name up after 6-7 years, like you're, and then you got the 5 people that were clapping.
Trying to see what stuck. You was trying to see what was stuck.
Yeah. You feel like you're in a room full of racists, and maybe I should say something, off the wall, outlandish, and it didn't hit. And not to keep on harping on Professor Black's truth, you're a tool that will get broken too. Ask Don Lemon if you don't believe that.
The crazy thing with Don Lemon, though, Don Lemon actually lost. Yes, Don Lemon has definitely cooned and tap danced before, but he actually lost his job because he was on cold for once.
Yeah,
he was letting that little anti-Black American Indian.
VVAC ramen noodles is
right.
Calling
always has.
Vivacious. You mean Vivacious?
He was not letting him get away with anti-Black American talk. Right. He was standing his ground. He even told the producers, "Y'all are in my ear. Nah, I'm gonna check him." And he was like, "No." So that's the crazy thing, that Don Lemon redeems himself to some extent. He lost his job actually finally standing up for Black Americans. He was like, "No, you're not going to tell me." He was like, "Whatever," and he was like, "Whatever ethnicity you are." Don Lemon was saying, I don't know what you are, but you're not a Black American. And how you going to tell me about what's been my lived experience, what ancestors went through? So he was going in. By the way, that little East Indian punk is going to be here in South Carolina, but he's not in my region. And the region he's going to be in is 2 hours away, where I'm actually going to be there, but it's going to be the next day. But I'm going to try to see if I can pull up and see if he got so much to say about Black Americans when I'm in his face, and see if he can handle an uninterrupted, unfiltered debate, about some of these old talking points he has. Talk about affirmative action when white women are the main beneficiary of affirmative action. That's been proven time and time again. Talking about reparations.
Check the private chat.
talking about reparations, and when people mention him that other groups got reparations, well, we need to look for it. Oh, hell to the damn no. Those other groups weren't told to look for it. Those other groups said we ain't moving for it until you pay us for what happened in the past. Okay? And they got paid. So why we, the group who went through the most, why we have to be the bigger people and look for it when we've been through the most? And they talk about something relying on the government. You a whole damn immigrant that's only in this country because of policies that were done by the government that which Black Americans fought to make possible. So we'll see I'm gonna see what I can work out for that.
Well,
he's not coming down to my part of South Carolina. I find that kind of interesting. I really find that interesting.
Staying away from you.
Right, he's not coming down to the coastal part, which I'm strange. Charleston is our largest city. So you would think he will come to Charleston. He's going up in the Greenville, which is right by the mountains, which is the whitest, one of the whitest part of South Carolina, Spartanburg, and then Lexington, which is the second half of the capital city, Columbia, Lexington County, but it's the whiter part. Richland County is the blacker part, but he's going to be in Richland, but he's going to be at the Republican convention where he feels he's going to be, he's going to have a buffer around him. Mm-hmm. He won't come down to the Low Country or the PD, the black, very black part of South Carolina. And I find that very, very interesting.
I guess they don't want him to mess up his hair.
Well, at this point, cut a damn thing off. Look, it'll probably help at this point.
And I thought he was older than what he was. He's only 37.
Yes, sir.
He's only 37. Wow. He's young.
He looked 50.
Anti-black racism will age you. That's all
I was just getting ready to say.
Marcel, did you see how he got mad at one of his people because he checked him on what he basically agreed with what you said? And
it was two of them. It's a woman. I saw that guy
Roll Connor,
Roll Connor. Now I don't like him because he's one of those illegal immigrants, deserve everything and hell with him. But a broken clock is right twice a day. Roll Connor was like, hey, hold the hell up. Indians are only in America because of the suffering and the fighting Black Americans. And he was like, we owe Black Americans huge debt. Some other Indian lady who I've seen her tweet before, she's one of those progressive types, but she checked them. She was like, hey, I'm offended as an Indian American, a proud Indian American too, and how you think you can tell Black Americans what their experiences have been. And she was like, we owe Black Americans. So she was like, you should be talking to Black Americans about how you can do policies for them. Yeah, there's been a few Indians, which I'm surprised, the Indian American community is not necessarily a community that's known for being pro-Black American. There's been a few Indian Americans who are calling him the hell out. And he's been giving little weak responses, and then they've been calling him out. So
I've seen it. I've seen it.
I think that brings us full circle because the reason why, Indians are coming around now is again because of the new Black media and the talking points that are now in the lexicon. So again, these are not fly-by-night things. This is very important, very progressive work that's being done by the new Black media. But again, like with these East Indians, if you went to, and again I live in New York, so if you went to a Jewish person and let them know about their life as a Jewish person, you will be all types of ostracized out of. You'll be on a no-fly list, all that. But when it comes to us, and this is our fault, to be honest with you, we invited everyone in. Yep. So we have to stop being so damn welcoming. With everything, especially these people that don't even identify as Black. We have to stop being welcoming with them. So I think the two that stepped out, but again, because I always put it on, okay, who from their culture is calling them out? So I give those two credit. But why isn't there like a massive swell of people? You wanted us to speak up when so-called Asians were getting harmed up here in New York.
It was mainly us getting harmed because during that time period, hate crimes, we've always been the majority of hate crime recipients.
And we still are.
And then it soared. Ours only soared by something about 1,000. Over 1,000 and more Asians, it went up like somewhere in the hundreds. So it was still us. But they wanted to speak out. And by the way, a lot of Indians are very big and influential in these social media tech spaces. So if they wanted to speak out, they damn had the platform.
You could have deplatformed him overnight.
Great point.
You chose not to do that. You chose not to do it.
Yeah, because Vivek Ramaswamy, he does nothing but spread misinformation and propaganda about Black people.
But
Especially
he
with that,
Black space, though.
especially when he was talking, especially when he made that NRA comment. That's when I think a lot of people were starting to call him out about that NRA comment, because it was like, wait, no, like how you're explaining it. And there was a lot of people, because I was looking on his Twitter, it was a lot of people leaving links and everything like that. But see, the thing is, he has such this ego and arrogance about him that it's just no way that whatever he's saying about us is incorrect. Like, it's like he could have said we could have said we would have born. He could have said we were born out of a petri dish, and that just was be the facts. Like, there's just no way we came out of a womb. Like, that's just that's his level of thinking.
Yeah, you know what it is, because
he about Black people, but not come to talk with Black people. You're a coward.
Right. He's one of the multimillionaires who think they could just talk down on people.
He looked like he just left off of a Broadway production.
But if
I had a joke, but that would be wrong to say. So I'm gonna be quiet.
And that's the problem. People, we don't know the true facts sometimes. And if you don't know him, you're gonna believe what he's saying. That's when the new Black media comes in. No, this is factually incorrect. You know, you come across a person like, you know, myself, Torian, you know, they can have some damn facts for you. Hey, no, this is wrong. And shout out to the people that's putting the facts up in the thread. I saw that too. Shout out to them.
But I know Roland's probably emailing him like 7 times a day to get on the show.
You know what?
He get us told.
That little punk is so despicable. I would actually be on Roland's side. As awful as Roland Marshall is, sometimes he does go in on some of these people. I would actually But you know, he will probably go to Roland Martian because he don't know what the hell to say. But he will not. He will not go to some of us because he knows we know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
because
we know.
So, but my thing is this: he won't even go to maybe people who may not be as well versed in some of our history. He just won't go to Black spaces, period, because he knows there are some Black people who have, like Sonny Johnson, who's a big name in the conservative protocol. Sonny's been calling him out and say, "Hey, come on my show." He invited Sonny to the show. Sonny said, "Okay, what day?" He has not responded to Sonny yet. So even people who may not be quote unquote reparationists, he just is afraid of talk. It's almost like when Black people say it to my face. Like when someone else with the other N-word and they say it online, say it in my face. He knows not to bring that stuff to our face.
God,
he's pretty much a keyboard warrior at this point.
He may talk to that little fat coon who's that clip y'all just played, but he won't say it to a Black, probably a Black American who's going to stand up and don't do that talking down to Black American stuff. Who knows their facts? But y'all, gentlemen, I'm out. Thank y'all for having me. Enjoy it.
Yes, sir.
Man, thank you, my brother. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Shout out to Greg Marcel Dixon. Man, and
come on, Vivacious. Come talk to us. Come on, Vivacious.
He ain't coming on.
You need to come get it. You know, he don't want that work. But if he wants to be, want to try his hand at being respected at any level, for this is where it's going to begin. So, brothers,
you know what I worry about with that dude Beats mostly. He told Kid Gravity that he's raising 2 boys, I believe.
I heard that,
and that's sad. I pray for those children.
Yeah, I didn't like his Jalen Walker comments. That I was really trying to hold it.
You know, they're getting some type of right knowledge. You know, I hope I'm gonna just say that because Justin Lee Peterson raised a child too. You know, and no one knows how that kid turned out.
Amazing.
Oh, he turned out good.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just imitating that. Man.
He don't fool with him. I mean, they
don't fool with each other. Yeah, they don't fool with each other.
I didn't even know he had a kid.
Yeah, he had a grown son out of wedlock. Out of wedlock.
Yep.
He had to be out of wedlock because we know what he about. Well, continue on, Brother Beast.
Yeah, brother. You know, no, this Jay Bags had put a question in the chat earlier, and I wanted to come back to the question. Said a question for the panelists. How do you respond to those critics of ours who'd say we need 60 votes in the Senate, or we need a Democratic majority in both houses in order to get reparations?
Did the Asians have that?
Nope.
Did the Ukrainians have that?
No.
Definitely
The
not.
Afghanistanians have that.
Hell no.
That's how I would respond.
I would respond like this: you only need 51 in the Senate, and the majority in the House. You only need about 236. If them 236 don't want to acquiesce, we gonna put our 236 in there.
Bam.
Correct. Very
There it is. Very
Because
simple.
y'all, I did not see anybody out there protesting for no Ukraine money, no Native Americans, no Japanese, no dreamers trying to get what they want to get. The Caribbean folk, the Africans. I ain't see nobody out there. I actually saw Americans send money to get the Africans out of Ukraine when the war started. I saw that, but they were then the same ones who saw Buffalo happen, didn't lift a finger. Your vice president didn't want to go. Al Sharpton had to convince her to go, but she was down there in Uvalde with the flowers in hand and balloons. Yeah, no, we good.
And the only reason she went to where
Buffalo.
was it? Not Buffalo.
No, Nashville.
Was it Nashville?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the last one she went to.
But she didn't go see.
When she went to Tyree Nichols' funeral, the only reason she went to that one was for a photo op.
Mm-hmm.
That was nothing more than a publicity stunt for her.
You saw the BS she went when she went to Howard. Yeah. Your alma mater, you over there talking about abortion, and they still got a mold problem. But all right.
This coming from a woman who has no children.
Thank you.
Of her own.
Thank you.
Right.
I'm gonna just, you know what? I'm just gonna park my car right there. I'm not even gonna go further than that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say something too, but yeah.
We might have been thinking the same.
Yeah,
mammy to mammy. We'll just say that. Yeah. Mammy to mammy. That's all we'll say.
You know what? I'm gonna start calling the PP the equalizer. Because she went to the equalizer.
Oh man, the next 18 months are going to be so much fun. So much content.
Ooh-wee.
Vivacious. I predict Vivacious is going to show up in Jason Black's thing. I predict it. I see it.
Oh, that would be funny. Like it would be hilarious, but it would be quite an experience to see. Like literally, he might actually crack 10,000 people that night.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I think a whole bunch of white people gonna show, and he going to expose them, and they be like, you know what? We might as well just go with Trump. We ain't got nothing to lose with Trump. We know where he at. Even though he a damn New Yorker, but you know we know where he at.
There's a dude that calls up from like Beaufort, South Carolina.
Oh my God!
I don't know his name, and if you know his name, forget it. He's
Mr. Banjo himself.
Yeah. So I know that he's a lot of trolling, but and I, in all honesty, that I think that that mega dude, MAGA dude, whatever. I think he's genuine in what he's saying, but you're just cool. You can be a
genuine cool.
Hey, Sage, don't do that because he did yell at somebody on Twitter for saying don't. If y'all put up that raccoon emoji, that's all I'm gonna say.
He said he doesn't look at himself like that.
He said if y'all put it up, he was gonna go off. I was like, dude, you got to understand the way you're talking. That's how they interpret it. They're gonna see that. That's what I was trying to articulate to him today. If you would have said, I agree with anything else you guys want except reparations, you would have got a better response. You came out saying you gonna pay for them to leave one way, Uber, whatever. I mean, you got to understand how that got taken.
And
that's likened to saying to y'all, F you.
And my thing is, he wouldn't have said that to any other group because
he knows what would have happened. He would have got checked.
There would have been consequences. So, like you said, he lives in Arizona. It's probably not a lot in Arizona, but I don't think that he'll come out. Not to say I'm not. Please don't take my comments out of.
Yes, don't take it out of context. Hey, they're over there threatening me. No,
we're not threatening you.
I'm not even talking about black people. What I'm saying is, if you say that about any other group, that's disrespectful. That's disheartening. And the sad part is, I don't even think you're informed about what exactly do the people are owed and what they want. Because you're saying that take reparations off the table. What else can we agree on? You can't take that off the table. That's the damn table. That's
Right, but
the damn
that's what I told them, Sage.
table.
Like if these politicians would have just hammered this out in the 80s, the 90s, or the early 2000s, this wouldn't be an issue. They wanted to bypass it because it was still getting the votes. Y'all created a monster that you didn't need to. Y'all could have hammered it out. Y'all could have just, if y'all would have just voted on it and said no, okay, they'd still be fighting. But you say, you know, we at least voted on it. Y'all want to avoid the issue. Now you're forced to talk about it for the next 18 months. And that's the way the election's going to go. If you don't say you're for reparations and have a concrete plan ready, even if it's a framework, you're not going to get the votes. You saw what happened to Stacey. You saw what happened with Mandela Barnes. What's her name? Got squeaked in. Karen Bass squeaked in on that election. And you know she's anti-reparations for black folks, black Americans.
Right.
You're going to get your campaign touched if you do not say you're for that. You could have as much non-black reinforcement as you can. If you play like that, you're going to have an uphill battle because we got voices now. Tiffany Crossing, then you know she's coming back. She gonna sound like us. Don Lemon, if him and Tucker get together and look like Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, they gonna talk like us, and they gonna get those guests. They gonna ask you, what do you feel about reparations for Black American descendants of slavery?
It's gonna be in their dreams, in their nightmares. You thought Freddie was scary?
Yes.
That monster of reparations is gonna be even scarier. It's gonna be real.
And the one thing you don't want is us online trashing you.
Facts.
Because for one thing, Trump was right. The next election is gonna be won online.
Right?
You don't want that. You will have your campaign website deleted before the election. I promise you.
Man, you know, I think of like with Stacey Abrams and even looking at Raphael Warnock. Raphael Warnock had to spend $90 million a week to eat as Herschel Walker. I mean, so that tells you
That's
$91
crazy.
million to get over the CTE poster child. Like, I remember when they were going to court and the whole thing with Herschel Walker, like he was the poster child for CTE. So when I don't know, I mean, you know, I'm a little older than all y'all. So I remember when all of that was going down. And man, they used him as a like he was like the spokesperson. And you see how he talked now. He was talking like that then. This dude never been right in the head. But to be able to run him as a politician says that politics has hit an all-time low.
So
you know what I'm saying?
Sitting
But real quick,
so low, the bar is literally in hell right now, being bench pressed by Satan. That's how low it is.
Nice. Hey, B-Zilla, I got a news break for you. You could do tomorrow or whenever. Check that out.
Yes, indeed.
Y'all brought up Warnock.
Oh, you put it okay. Yeah. Okay. And real quick, I just want y'all to here's the taste of this cat that brother Kid Gravity Beyond actually debated with earlier today. And this is the clip of him on basically the reason why people were even paying attention to this dude. But here he is, family. Check him out.
If you want reparations, I'm fully okay with funding your reparations. I think this would be great. This would be a great reparations. Reparations would be a one-way ticket. You're banned from the country. You cannot come back. Don't try to say you're going to take this ticket and make a vacation and come back. I will put whatever donation I can to have you take a one-way ticket to whatever the hell else country you want to go to and you never come back. That's the reparations I can give you. If this country is so bad, we've got it solved. I think I've solved reparations, everybody. Let them know. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Sheila Lee, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Katie Porter. Somebody wake up Dianne Feinstein. Nancy P. Wake her up too and tell her to put down the bottle. I solved reparations. You get a one-way boat ticket, taxi. You get a one-way Uber. You get a one-way plane ticket, boat ticket to get the hell up out of here and never come back. And this country would be so much better off for it.
So that was the guy. I'm gonna be honest with you, kid.
That's y'all. My virgin ears can't hear what y'all about to say. So
Kid, I said, so that's the guy. That's why I kind of like looked. I was like, oh, that's the guy, because I didn't get a chance to look at the interview. When I saw the title, I was like, do I want to subject myself to what I might hear? And then after seeing that, I'm trying to debate, should I go and listen to a full length version of that?
No. No. Okay, he's clearly catering to the MAGA Republicans. Like, listen, if you want to vote that, by all means, my brother, be
facts.
We don't care. But we're not Democrats here. We're not Republicans here. We're strictly voting our interests, sir. So again, for you to speak about something that's very dear and important to us, such as reparations, that's just out of line. You're talking about a one-way ticket. Maybe that's what you did, sir, from Jamaica. You got your ass on a one-way ticket and you ain't going back there. So, and maybe what you should worry about is hitting up the Queen and getting y'all gold and,
King now.
Whatever. He need.
Oh, yeah. King. Yeah,
y'all about to make me say something I don't want to say.
Say it.
No. I said, when he gonna die?
Dancing Hand Palace. Say it.
When he gonna die too? That's what I wanted to say. Y'all need to them up and because y'all are old too, sir. But again, when you talking about a one-way ticket, let me break this down. When we arrived, because I know you're probably listening or you're going to listen later on. When we arrived here to this landmass, this wasn't even called America yet, sir.
Facts.
We built up the country that you now came to called America. The whole, what is that called? Birthrights, whatever.
Birthright citizenship.
Yeah, birthright citizenship that we have now. That was something that we fought for, sir. The 14th, 15th, 16th Amendment. These are some things that we fought for, sir, that you now benefit from. The Immigration Act of 1965, 1966. These are things that we fought for, sir. We got dog sick on us. We got, water holes, sir. So you can get your ass up on YouTube and talk that crazy shit that you was just talking. That's very disrespectful and it's very disingenuous. So if someone says that you're cooning, sir, they mean that, sir. They do. They mean that because you're way off code. If you don't have nothing good to say, then don't say nothing, sir. But don't chat size us too, talking about I've solved it. And then you're boxing us in like we're down with Nancy Pelosi. Newsflash. None of these including myself, give a damn about on Nancy Pelosi.
Facts.
We don't give a damn about no one in the Democratic Party unless they're talking specifically tangibles for us, sir.
Cold speak.
You can take that to your MAGA crowd and you can tell them that, sir. Because you're not dealing with Democrats here, sir. Don't for 1 second, you're not dealing with that. Okay?
Yeah, we gotta make sure.
Whenever they do that like that, when they say that like left leaning or far left or liberal and Democrat, that's cold speak. Like they pull that straight out of Lee Atwater's playbook, or should I say his audio recording? Because that's really how I got exposed. But that's really cold speak for saying black people. We already know exactly what it is. But he said I'll pay for you, to send y'all back. Can you even pay for yourself to go to these places that you say you're going to send all of us back to is what I'm talking about. Can you pay for yourself to do all of that? Probably not.
You're talking 2,500 one way just to go to Africa.
All of a sudden, the government got money out of nowhere. All of a sudden, because he was complaining to Kid Gravity about government not being made of money. But all of a sudden, they got enough money to send us. All of a sudden, this money comes out of nowhere. All right.
Ooh, good point. Good point.
Great point.
And I think he also agreed with what Dr. Phil said. I'm like, Dr. Phil ain't qualified to talk about that.
That was
you and I not being of the story. We're not allowed to tell them what they should be asking for, because
really
you wouldn't like it if they would come in and say what we need to go do. We take that as disrespect.
We built this in the chat, so he needs to look in the mirror. Well, that's going to be impossible for him to do because he has no mirrors.
Stop.
He's like a
He's
vampire. He has
Jamaican.
no
I'm
reflection.
trying to save him, but I can't.
Well,
Jamaica's got to stand on their own 2 feet.
real deal Jamaicans would know better than that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like that. Come on, man. That's way off.
But that's what I told him too. Say just like we got 8 places to go, bro. We got $500 billion to go get. Come ride with me on this. I want to see I want to see an Air Jamaica plane in front of the Buckingham Palace gates. I want to see that.
I'm just imagining this big giant pink plane.
You open the doors, nothing but ganja smoke coming out and Beanie Man playing. Like, yo, Moama check. And then we got to go to France, and then we got to go to the Netherlands. We got to go Middle East. We got to go to Israel. We got to go to China. We got to go to Africa. We got to go to what's the name? And Spain. We got places to go.
And don't forget too, because once you go to Buckingham Palace, they got some of the artifacts and jewelry in there. So you might have to carry a couple of planes just to carry all that cargo, because we don't want you getting weighed down from all of that stuff that they stole.
I think I'll open the back door for the Africans to go get their stuff back. They got a lot of artwork over there.
I know it's kind of crazy. You go over there and you go into some of the museums and like, that's ours. That's ours. That's ours. Right. That's why I was so glad. That's why I thought it was so genius. And I have to throw it into to entertainment for a little bit. I thought that was so genius. Yes. For Ryan Coogler to have that scene with Killmonger in the museum, because that's exactly imagine if it could play out just like that in real life. Like you go into this museum and you're like, nah, that's not from over here. That's from Wakanda. That's vibranium.
But I like how the Europeans are now trying to give back.
Man, when I seen that, that's see what it is it's guilty. So when oh wait, they gonna come for the goods. Oh man, we just stumbled upon this in the basement of the museum. I don't even know where this came from, man. Yeah, you're gonna start seeing a lot more of that, and because they have the real artifacts, and then it also might start exposing a lot of the fake shit that's out there as well. that they have already said this is authentic. Man,
someone had did I had watched a video, and this is around the time when the Queen had died, and somebody had did like a backstory on the crown jewel. Deep stuff about that crown jewel and where that crown jewel actually really came from before it ended up on her head.
Right. Yes, sir.
The crown jewel is seen as one of the most expensive diamonds in the world.
And again, to Mr. MAGA, again, we're not chastising. We're trying to give you some ideas on what you should do with your claim, sir. We're not over here making fun of you, talking about some, I got perfect idea. Why don't you go to Europe and drink some tea? We're not doing that, sir. We're telling you real substantial things that you can actually do.
Yes, sir. I want to broadcast on a beach in Jamaica and make y'all jealous. That's what I want to do. I want to open a fish shack after I stream. That's what I want to do.
I'm mad he called himself Mr. MAGA though. Like,
well, he said MAGA is his version of it, but whatever. But the point is, like Jason Black said a couple of years ago, Jamaica should be the Dubai of the Caribbean.
Correct.
I said it should be Tokyo. I say it should be Tokyo. Everybody should be wanting to go there. There's no reason why, if you want to do like STEM research, or you want to go do engineering, or you want to go do business, you leave the country to go to foreign. You should be doing that in Jamaica. Jamaica needs that infrastructure. Jamaica don't even have competent doctors. They can't even get ICU beds, and they have a cancer problem down there.
Whoa.
And they got a representative up here chastising us on reparations. Yeah, that works, family.
And what pisses me off even more than that is, where your prime minister lays his head. He just built a whole brand new mansion that he was about to go to jail over.
Right.
Y'all can go see him anytime you want. We can't even touch Biden. Y'all can go touch this man. Y'all can go in Parliament and touch them, and y'all won't do it.
Damn shame. Family, now let me see. Yeah, we've been about 2 hours in. Real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap because I still got these two other videos to get to.
Yes.
But one thing I do want to ask a final question in parting is the future. How do you envision the grassroots and New Black Media's future, especially when it comes into these, like Kid Gravity brought up, this next months? And as we're moving into this election cycle, we're moving into this strong reparations conversation, and we're seeing a lot of pandering going, a little bit of everywhere, almost like they're trying to put their fishing poles in the water and see what catches. How do you see us moving forward in the next 18 months?
Can I be
And
bold?
whoever wants to take that first,
Can I be bold?
go ahead, brother.
These publications are going to start. They're going to do it. They're going to do a in-depth thing on New Black Media.
Mm-hmm.
I see it. They're going to start mentioning that hashtag by name. New Black Media, the future or something, because they're going to take a shot at us. The future
Well,
media or hindrance.
Yeah, like Roland
Or
Martin.
Right.
Every
They're going to
chance he
put
get.
Roland's name in there. They're going to equate him to New Black Media. And I can just imagine Jason Black on a Saturday or Sunday reading that and like, when the hell is Roland ever been New Black Media?
Yeah, because you know what the sound bite is. They're going to be playing. I said black first.
Yeah. B1,
B1.
ADOS, FBA.
Anybody else?
Well, like Kid Gravity was saying, it's definitely going to end up in the lexicon somewhere before you know what they're going to be trying to do a study on us. They always got to do a study. Like, they said we need to do a study on Black Twitter. They're going to try to do a study on the New Black Media. Before you know it, it's going to be a documentary on Hulu like they're doing on Freaknik next year.
Mhm.
They might actually go above and beyond, to see what goes on. I said, all eyes on us to see how it is that we started like right here on the internet and like how we just started to expand. How did they get reparations to be trending like every week? How was this even possible? Why is Tariq trending every single week? Like, it's getting to that point that the world is starting to realize that we are here and we are here to stay. We ain't going nowhere anytime soon. And when we get our reparations, we gonna be even louder. Like, shoot, you may not see us on some of these platforms anymore because we're gonna be starting our own platforms.
Yes,
like we gonna be carrying a lot of the people with us. YouTube, who? Twitter, what? TikTok, huh? So
And
it's
be
gonna
careful.
be.
They're going to use the R word on us too.
What's that?
Radical.
Oh. But listen, these are the same people that tried to come up with that BIE nonsense. And that black woman, she shut that down. That still plays in my head. She said that she had them big Coke bottle glasses on and was looking square in their face and was trying to tell them what is a BIE. She shut them down in just a little bit of time. They was like fumbling through the papers like she was like exactly. By the time she walked out that door, BIE went with her because it was no more. I will never forget that. But they always trying to throw that kind of like that label, like you said, like radical. That's nothing new. They've been doing that for years. Anytime that black people like staying 10 toes down, with their chest up a little bit, have some a little bit assertive. Shoot, even when black men talk in the tone that I'm talking right now, they're saying we're being too loud. We're being too aggressive because we're supposed to talk like this, right? And our heads down like this. So like that's pretty much how they want us to be. That's why I be killing me sometimes when I be looking at them videos when you be seeing a lot of white people try to test black people, and I've never understood why they did this, where they'll say something like the N-word or whatever the case may be, and then they just walk away like we will not check them. Like, did y'all see that? Did y'all see that video? Where this black it was this black woman, she went into the Days Inn hotel and this white woman spit on her and she thought she was gonna walk away. I said that black woman beat the shit out of her without dropping her phone. And she said, and she said, today is my birthday too. She said, this is an extra good ass woman.
Did you see the one where she got called the N-word in the store? She went outside and saw. And her man was like, "Yo,"
she tried
her man was like, "Listen."
She tried to hide behind her man for a little
he's
bit,
like,
but then
he called you the Edward.
But then when he realized that he had to let his hands go, like you should have saw the version of it. You should have saw the version of it where they implemented the sound effects with the sonic rings. Why? If you look at it without looking at the video, and all you hear was boom, 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 it was hilarious. Like it was a good 5 minutes of listening to that, and I was laughing the whole time. So yeah, but yeah, they just be. I just said be careful, because not every black person is not going to stand down to you. And the thing is, that's why I've said that have literally become their ancestors, because their ancestors were used to that type of docile black person where they could get away with doing stuff like that, and they probably been told over time that they could do that. But then it's like, I don't know what descendant told you that, but in 2023, it's a whole different ball game, and black people don't care if they're being recorded. They'll do the recording of them doing it. They don't care. They don't care, and then put it out there so they can publicly shame you for what you did. So there you go,
man. So go ahead, brother.
Moving forward, I also think that there's going to be a lot of pandering. I think that they're going to offer new black media, once they realize that they can't ignore you, which they've already reached that stage. They can't ignore you. They tried to ignore you out of existence. That didn't work. So what they're going to do now is they're going to try to pander. They may even start throwing money at you guys too. They may start saying, "Hey, Kid Gravity, how you doing, man? How about I offer you $100,000, but you got to toe the line. You could be the next Don Lemon, and look what you can do with life. And they're gonna start pandering to you to try to recruit you to be on the coon train. So they're gonna give you a little tokens to be on the coon train. So that's also gonna occur. They're gonna definitely offer. They're gonna definitely throw money towards, the Tariq, Professor Black, Truth, Jason Black. They're gonna throw money at them crazy just to try to get them to kind of toe the line. And they're gonna run across resistance, and then they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna start pandering. I believe that Jim Crow Joe will, this time around, he's gonna try to come out with some bullshit plans specifically for Black Americans, but we're gonna see right through it.
It's too little, too late.
Too late. Your track
he already started doing that though. He started recruiting his black bootlegs to do those Twitter ads.
Of course,
I saw one today, and I was like, "You don't believe nothing you saying, bro."
I forgot I forgot somebody had I guess it was an ad that he's already posted, and someone said it. Why does this ad look like a trailer for a Marvel movie? I forgot.
It looked like the C19 ones where everybody was like, "You better go get it."
I'm like, you do this like this filter on it. I'm like, it looked like something like some kind of apocalyptic ad. I said, what an interesting take to do this campaign. Oh, before I forget, I mean, it just turned 12, but I mean, I guess we'll just still say it anyway. Can y'all believe the expo is in a month?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Fun with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yes,
and that's going to be another big event right there. And one thing I like is because that's something that's put together by us. It's not like it's some big major conglomerate. It's not called the FBA Expo sponsored by Disney. So it's like, that's our event right there. That's really going to put. Well, listen, Disney got a lot of stuff going on right now, thanks to Ron the Snowflake down in Florida. But I think he's going to lose that one. But that's another story for another day. But I think this expo is going to be, very phenomenal. And I definitely will. And I can, say it right now. Like, I will definitely host, the roundtable on my channel to discuss the recap of that sometime that week.
And you gotta go to Texas barbecue too.
You used to go to where?
Texas barbecue.
Are you putting down, food spots?
Down there you go. Don't be whipping out no mambo
Yes,
sauce.
sir. There's plenty down there.
No, you need to be telling Afro that.
Texas? Yeah.
I can contain myself.
He be like, this is Texas. He gonna look around. He go like,
Man, they run him up out of there.
If you're listening right now, Afro, because I know you're probably listening now or gonna catch it later, do not drive down there, please.
yeah. It says, fly down there, brother.
Yeah, fly down to Texas, bro.
Don't do that.
They waiting on you at the border.
Yeah.
Just fly, man.
Yeah. I'm definitely. Well, I'm saying I have no choice but to fly. So, yeah.
No, you could drive over there, Tori. Come on. DMV to Dallas. Come on.
Excuse me.
East Coast
Nah.
places.
Nah, you know what?
No.
Nah, Tori, we hit them sundown towns real fast. He's like,
I talked about that over the last 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
You want to see him from the air, right?
yeah, we
Right.
got them in Oregon. Like there's towns here in the state of Oregon that we don't drive through. I mean, just real talk. We ain't.
I don't know what's happening with your state, brother.
Yeah, certain paths out of Oregon.
Oh, that's up in New York too. Oh yeah, you go upstate New York, man. Just
Facts.
Oh,
Will you tell them
yeah.
about Binghamton? Because they don't believe me when I say the Confederate flag is heavy up there. They don't believe me. And the bare feet going into Walmart.
Absolutely. I was about to curse. Go out to Long Island. Oh yeah.
Suffolk County, yo.
Really?
Suffolk County is bad, bro.
And I'm actually about to move out there, which
Really?
is crazy. But yeah, I'm about to get a
Which
house.
part?
We can
Which
talk about
part?
that in the back. In the back.
Oh, okay.
But
yes.
So Suffolk County is crazy.
Because I'm house shopping and I seen a car drive by with half a Confederate flag, the other half said I support the Second Amendment. Now I support the Second Amendment too. Let's do it. But that Confederate flag, I was like, yeah, this may not be the town.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a no for me.
Yeah.
Brother. Yeah, I can't do it, fam. I mean, that's why the rest of the state can't stand Portland, because this is where all the black folks is. So
it's just
they,
like New York.
it's
Safe. But go upstate,
right.
go all the way over to Long Island. No.
That's a whole new world, bro. That's a whole new world. He know what I'm talking about.
I could dig it. I totally understand what y'all talking about.
Most people only know Suffolk County with what they call it, Huntington and Amityville, because of the movie.
Yeah,
right.
It's a whole different Brentwood, Central Islip, Wyandanch,
Calvington. You go out there, man. Good luck.
And that's MS-13 Haven too.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, that's where they stay. If they're not in Hempstead in Nassau County, they out there in Suffolk.
Yeah, because they're definitely. You used to live up here or something? Because all.
Yeah, I've only been down here in Atlanta for 2 years.
I'm like, yeah, my cousin lived in Nassau. He lived in Hempstead. That's why I'm like, this dude definitely has.
Yeah, no, I was living in Baldwin.
Oh,
so yeah, I went. I saw the change. Like all them white people in 2001 left, and my whole block went from like mostly white to mostly black. So
yeah, I remember when I forgot what kind of rally they had down here, like in DC years ago. It wasn't January 6th. Even if it was January 6th, they still went across over into that area. But I forgot what it was. But I know it was under the Trump administration. I do remember that. And it was some kind of rally they had down here. And I was sitting here and saying to myself, as long as they don't get on that green line and cross over into Anacostia or somewhere along that region, they'll be good. Capitol Heights, they'll be good. But I'm gonna tell you this right now: if you bring that MAGA mess across that part, you may not make it back. I'm just saying, you may not make it back in one piece. And I'm not talking about dealing with the adults. I'm talking about dealing with the kids.
Yeah.
The kids are worse. If you think that you're going to do, I'm telling you, like, and they knew better. Don't cross into Anacostia, on that green line, because it's a wrap. Even I don't like getting on the green line after a certain time. So yeah, if I know I don't like going on the green line, and I would have to cross there often, when I'm working. So I know that and you better do that during the day. And someone said the red line too. Yes, the red line as well, depending on what side you're going on. But that green line, that notorious green line right there. And anybody who's from the area knows exactly what I'm talking about.
It ain't 227 green line.
No. 227. That's TV, and that was back in the 80s too, before all the train line systems were built. So. Yeah.
Wait, y'all didn't have trains in the 80s?
Similar thing too when Trump was getting arrested and all that. I wasn't worried about it.
There you go. He heard Mambo Sauce.
What's up?
Y'all leave me alone.
He heard Mambo Sauce.
Y'all got Mambo Sauce in Texas?
They see.
Afro,
it's like, going to
it's like I'm Batman.
Joint,
that's the bad signal.
Hang on. Afro, if you go, Afro, let me warn you. If you go into a Texas barbecue joint, ask for sauce, they're gonna throw you out.
Man,
what you mean? Oh, okay.
They don't do sauce down there. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of sauce.
That's fine. That's fine. Torian, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna get hooked up. I'm gonna bring my own sauce.
And they said do not drive.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Fly on down there, brother.
No, please.
Yeah,
don't
pass.
Hey, look, at least if I drive, they won't steal my laptop. At least I know my laptop is safe.
You just take it on the plane with you.
Why can't you just take it on the plane?
Take it on the plane with you.
Don't fly Spirit.
Don't fly Spirit. You get your ass.
Yeah, don't fly
you get your ass.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about flying Spirit? When I flew Spirit, the second time I had to get my flight rescheduled because I went in too late. So I booked this like last minute flight. Mm-hmm. And everything was cool, but they said, the only way we can book you is in case of an emergency, we're going to need you to volunteer to help make sure everybody gets to safety. And I was like, okay.
Yes, sir.
So look, I'm sitting in like the emergency spot, right by the doors, just in case like the plane crashes. I have to help everybody get to safety. And before the plane takes off, the airline employee forgot the air attendant or whatever, right? Flight attendant, right? Mm-hmm. The flight attendant asked me, before we take off, are you sure that you are willing and able to help the passengers get to safety in case of an emergency? I'm like, or assist the crew in case of an emergency. I'm like, yeah. And then somebody else said, yeah. And then somebody else just shook their head. Like, oh no, sir, we need a verbal confirmation. I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, what do y'all expect to happen on this plane? Are we gonna get attacked?
Well, you know, they have to send out a flight attendant halfway to restart the propeller. You know that.
Oh man,
man, I just seen them taping up a wing.
Facts.
I saw a video of that.
And you got to relieve the pilots. 20 minutes into the flight, they gotta go to the bathroom, so you gotta have to fly the plane.
Look,
Spirit planes don't have autopilot.
If anything happened, I'm gonna say I probably shouldn't say this, but if anything happened, I'm gonna play follow the leader. I'm gonna be the first one off that plane. I'm gonna say follow me, y'all, and that's my help. If they think I'm gonna sacrifice myself being the last one on the plane, they got me messed up.
I know that's right. Hey, Afro. Now, did I hear correctly today? Today's your birthday, brother, right?
No, the 30th is my birthday. Tariq's shout out came earlier than I expected.
Nice.
Because I told him about it, so I posted, and everybody's like, "Happy birthday!" I'm like, "Oh, well, it's the 30th, actually, Sunday."
Okay, got it, man. Well, happy early birthday, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, man. You hopped in.
Afro, for some reason, I did not even know you was a Taurus.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, I know you're a Taurus. You're May. Yeah, your birthday's coming up too.
May 4th, a week from today, because it's after 12 over here.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up. Yep. See, that's why we link so we click up so well. Our connection is so tight because of that.
Right. Man, that makes sense.
And another thing, Torian, I'm the one who made that tweet about the Marvel movie. The Biden ad looking like a Marvel movie.
Okay.
Because I looked at it.
I saw someone, but I couldn't remember who tweeted it.
Yeah, I looked at it and I saw the color of the ad. I'm like, I've never seen an ad because the ad is all dark when they're talking about MAGA and Trump, and then it speeds up and gets super fast paced when I'm like, dude, this. If I see Biden in a car speeding down a highway, like if I see him hanging out a helicopter, I'm not gonna be surprised. Biden's ads is about to get crazy. We about to see Biden in space in a submarine. You don't know. We about to see Biden fight somebody.
Joe Biden's gonna jump these hot burning cars. Man, so brothers, I appreciate y'all sharing your time for this mashup, man. Had our brother Afro Elite pop in here at the end. I still got 2 videos coming up, family. We got an interview with Just Eve, and then we have a video interview with brother Dwan B, and we will be closing out the broadcast with those 2 videos. But before we go, brothers, I want y'all to get all y'all information so everybody can know where they can find y'all. So, brother Afro Elite, I'll let you go first, brother.
Well, you can pretty much find me first. Thank you, and you can pretty much find me on Afro Elite on all platforms. That's Afro Elite on Instagram, Afro Elite on YouTube mainly. That's my biggest thing. Afro Elite on Twitter, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, you know, you know, I don't even want to. I don't like telling people my cash out because I feel bougie doing that. But everybody's been asking about it anyway, so it's just it's Afro Elite 10, just $ Afro Elite 10 on Instagram, which is the same as my email. I did that on purpose too.
Simple. Yes, sir. Anybody? Y'all go ahead, brother.
Y'all can follow me or subscribe to my channel on here, Torian Rain Reloaded, or follow me on Twitter at Torian Rain Reloaded and on Instagram at Torian_Rain.
All right.
You can find me on Twitter at Sage Station. All of my music can be streamed. Go to bogartrecords.com. I believe it's up on the screen. BOGUARD records.com. Black owned and operated, I might add. You can find me on Instagram at callhim.sage. What else? I don't have Facebook. Yes. Peace to the family. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, let me add this
Kid Gravity.
Let me add this in there
too.
I'm also a May baby too. 3 days after Torian, so that's crazy.
Another Taurus.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That you want to know so crazy? I was actually supposed to be born on the 7th, so I came 3 days early.
Oh, so you was just early with it. You couldn't just wait.
Right.
Wow.
When nature calls, I guess you got to answer.
Right? I was supposed to be born in May. Kid Gravity, you got it, brother. Yeah, I was. I'm June 4th.
Oh yeah, you just missed it.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, you can find me here on YouTube at Kid Gravity Beyond, and also find me on Twitter for the foreseeable future because I'm sure I'm going to get banned because I was cussing people out today at the Kid Gravity. And yeah, that's basically it. And by the way, I'm a Scorpio, so if anyone of y'all step on me, I'm stinging you. So it is what it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to my brothers, man, and shout out to Black Alpha Network, wherever that brother is right now.
Yes.
So shout out to our brother. And Queen Alpha, shout out to you, sister. And to everybody else that has not made it here. So again, we'll be seeing the videos coming up here. Shout out to Just Eve. Shout out to Dwan B. Shout out Kid Gravity Beyond, Brother Sage, Afro Elite, Torian Rain Reloaded, and Mr. Greg Marcel Dixon. Shout out to all of y'all. Thank you for doing what you do, making this word get out there to the edges of the earth from such a small place of voices. So that's that 300 that we be talking about. So salute to you, brothers. Appreciate everything y'all do. And man, we're gonna go ahead and take this break, and then we will get back to the to Just Eve coming up next. So salute to you, brothers. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. And man, y'all have a blessed night, man. Be one.
Be one. You too.
Be one.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Tariq Nasheed, and I'm inviting you to the Foundational Black American